you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Whew. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
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 Thank you. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
Dell! Dell!
Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake it won't go down. Baby's got a burger and a shooter and that shake it won't go down. Corrosion. Corrosion to her thighs. Erosion. Erosion of her pride. Baby's got a shooter. Baby's got corrosion now. Corrosion now. Baby's got it.
Baby's got it. Good morning. Good morning, Friday morning to you. It's not Friday the 13th, is it? Didn't we have like 2 or 3 of those already this week or this year? This week. Did we have 2 or 3 Friday the 13th this week? Said the guy who doesn't know how a fucking calendar works. Good morning. Jazz train, getting down on the jazz train. That's right, man. I love that. I love that little ditty. I liked the one before, but I wasn't getting copyright dings on it, but it was just like, it just showed up saying, hey, even though I got it from YouTube. Weird. So I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to use the evil AI music. So all that jazzy, train music, that's all AI shit because daddy's cheap. But daddy's cheap, but he loves money at the same time, folks, so, I'd swim in it. I saw this video of this person who did this origami thing and they made a bow tie out of a $20 bill. And I said, well, let's make a whole tuxedo out of it. And I'd wear it and be like, money, money, money. Why do you ask? Why are you so greedy, Warren, you greedy bastard? Well, it's because I love money. And I love to sell shit to make money. Well, I don't love selling it, but I love the money. Desperation Blend, extra dark roast ground coffee for you folks. Come on. You know you want some of that delicious, delicious coffee that this ain't. Raised by wolves in the giant Pacific garbage patch, this awful blend of despair and self-loathing will have you ready for your busy day in the bathroom with the shits. Part coffee bean and part demonic entity, this slimy substance can easily be used to induce vomiting if you're poisoned. Are you a gullible son of a bitch? Do you desire a coffee that's been charged by the ICC and ICJ with war crimes and crimes against humanity? Well, grab a bag of Desperation Blend extra dark roast ground coffee, found online and wherever illegal fireworks are sold. Also, use promo code GRIFTER to pay an additional 20% because you know you want to. There you go. That's the coffee bit for the morning. I forgot to do that last time, and I always hate to wait to do that because I want to get it out of the way. I want to get that money rolling in. And seriously, don't do the Scrooge McDuck. Don't fill a swimming pool full of gold coins and dive into it expecting to actually swim in it because that's not how physics works. You will break your neck. Wooly Bulla. What's up, Bella? Good to see you, my friend. Over here. Looks like everybody's chilling like a villain on Rumble. Got Miss Lainey Peterson. Good to see you as well, dear. Chuck's Intergalactic UFO show, Intergalactic. As he told you, he's got a show coming up pretty soon. It's sizzling. It's in the pan. It's about ready to be served up. So hopefully soon we can have a clip for you. Maybe get him on the secret show for funsies. As soon as I fix my guest shit on there. My audio is a nightmare for people who do this kind of thing. It's always a pain in the ass. The video and stuff, it seems like it's okay, but audio always just seems to like right get you by the short and curlies. CBC voter, good to see you. Good morning. We got Peace Dove in the house. Kameshwari Kate, good to see you, dear. I hope you feel better soon. I know you guys were talking about like supplements and natural stuff in the chat. See, that's why I like this community, right? We're always trying to help each other. Smart people too. Helping each other out. We got Max Sarjay he's talking about kidney and liver problems and how to deal with that. See, we're here to help each other out. Let's see who else is in the mix. I believe that's it for right now. If I missed you, as always, we'll aim better next time. All right. So this is Friday morning, and of course we got more fucking news for you, because more bad news, I should say. I'm like the Debbie Downer of the internet. It's like, I'm sorry, but here it is. Don't shoot the messenger or shoot the messenger. Either one. I think I can handle that. U.S. government building a 5,000 person immigrant detention camp in West Texas. That's right. It's the Rikers of Texas. If you got alligator, Alcatraz, and you got whatever starts with R, Rikers, or choose your prison of choice. Speaking of prison, that's where this lady needs to go. The U.S. government is building an immense 5,000 person detention camp, internment camp, in West Texas. A government contract announcement said, sharply increasing the Trump administration's ability to hold detained immigrants amid its ever-growing mass deportation efforts. A Defense Department contract announcement on Monday said Acquisition Logistics, a Virginia-based firm, had been awarded $232 million in Army funds to build the facility, which would be used for single immigrant adults. Procurement documents call it a soft-sided facility, a phrase often used for tent camps. Soft-sided facility. The announcement came just weeks after Florida authorities rushed to construct a new immigration detention center dubbed the Alligator Alcatraz, which was built on an isolated airstrip surrounded by swampland in the Florida Everglades. The announcement said the new facility would be built in El Paso, Sun City, which is home to Fort Bliss, an Army base that stretches across parts of Texas and New Mexico. I'm sure it's not going to be very blissful for the people in the internment camp. Trumpy recently signed a law setting aside $170 billion on border and immigration enforcement, including $45 billion for detention, which could solve the homelessness in America twice, even as the number of illegal border crossings has plunged. ICE will see its funding grow by $76.5 billion over 5 years, nearly 10 times its current annual budget. Trump has vowed to deport millions of immigrants living illegally in the U.S. And also, I saw something yesterday, too, about the ACLU saying that Trump signed an executive order telling the states that they need to criminalize homelessness. And I couldn't find any information on that to verify. That's what the ACLU put out. But we'll keep an eye on that story if it's an actual story. But I couldn't find anything this morning. Mariana, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. We got a poll going on here at the show here on the YouTube side there. Sorry, Rumble. I wish they'd let me do polls here. And we're going to talk about this in just a moment here. So I put up here, because I want to know from you guys how important it is to you that the Epstein list be revealed. Now, and not everybody is probably on the same page about it. I'm sure most of the people are like, yeah, let's see the fucking list. We want to know who these pedophiles are, right? Let's put them away. But there's varying degrees of importance, I believe. So in the poll, we have 67% of you. This is so far with 9 votes. Important, but it's not top priority. And 11% for very important, top priority. Not important, but I want to see it. Not important at all. So, and we'll check in with the poll again later in the show, because that's how we do things. All right. Oh, it's on USA Today, but I couldn't find it in any of my my other independent ones. And normally stuff like even Common Dreams, I don't think had that, and they're usually on top of that shit. Anywho, if anything, we'll talk about it tomorrow night on The Secret Show. I know this is supposed to be a fun show, but if that's something, yeah, I mean, there's several lines that have been crossed by the Trump administration, but to criminalize homelessness and people with mental deficiencies or mental illness, come on, you know, that's just trying to see how big a dick you can be and get away with it. Speaking of Trump, U.S. court rules that Trump's ban on birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. We'll see if the Supreme Court overturns that as well. Trumpy's executive order to end birthright citizenship was deemed unconstitutional by a federal appeals court in San Francisco on Wednesday. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit ruled 2-1 that Trump's order violates the Constitution's 14th Amendment, the latest blow to Trump in a series of legal back-and-forth rulings on the issue. Under the 14th of the Constitution, all children born in the U.S. automatically become American citizens. But the Trump administration is looking to abolish that right for people who are in country illegally or temporarily. However, opposition has been fierce. Several district judges have blocked Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship. The appeals court on Wednesday affirmed a Seattle district court's nationwide injunction calling the measure necessary to protect states from potential harm if Trump's order took effect. Late last month, the U.S. Supreme Court curbed the power of lower court judges to pause executive orders issued by Trump while hearing the birthright case. In its 6-3 ruling, which was ideologically divided with liberal judges dissenting against the ruling, the court said that nationwide injunctions or pauses issued by district court judges likely exceed the equitable authority that Congress has granted to federal courts. Trump hailed the ruling as a giant win. But this week, according to the appeals court, an injunction limited to the state level is as ineffective as not blocking the order at all because of the complications that can arise if people move between states with different citizenship rules. So, yeah, you could be in I guess that you would call it a sanctuary state, in for lack of a better phrase, and then you would go to another state and like you go to Texas. Yeah, you're probably going to see a lot of people move out of Texas. The district court correctly concluded that the executive order's proposed interpretation denying citizenship to many persons born in the U.S. is unconstitutional. We fully agree. Judge Ronald Gould wrote in the Supreme Court's June ruling, the judges did not rule on the constitutionality of Trump's executive order to end birthright citizenship. This loophole has consequently prompted a raft of class action lawsuits to be filed challenging the legality of the executive order itself. Earlier this month, a federal judge granted class action status to any child who would potentially be denied citizenship under Trump's order and issued a preliminary halt to it as legal proceedings carry on. So, yeah, I think that I don't know what the end game is, folks. I don't know what deporting all these people is going to accomplish. Is it going to bring back American jobs? No. People, these giant corporations will still be manufacturing their shit overseas where it's super cheap to do it. They're not going to do it here. So why are you kicking all these people out? They're not taking our jobs, okay? They're not taking our fucking jobs. Seriously. So it's got to be something different. It's got to be something stupider than that. Something more egregious. Come on. Why are you not working? There you go. So yeah, we were just talking about the Epstein files just a moment ago. And I don't like to run these stories to get all clickbaity and try to get like, ooh, I got Epstein goodness. Come on, come get it. Feed. I'm not doing that shit for that. But I think, and I don't think Jeffrey Epstein is the only person that has done this and has blackmailed people and stuff like that. But I do think it's important that somehow we do try to bring these people to justice and expose these people who are pedophiles. I mean, that's the goal, is to find out who these people are and punish them, you know? And I guess the thing is that if we figure out and we discover who they actually are, it's going to be so shocking. It'll be like them telling us that, yeah, aliens are actually real. Here's one right here, you know, that kind of thing. Kieran, good to see you. Good morning to you. Love warriors. Yes, we are warriors for love for sure. So I love Common Dreams, but they get a little silly with the headlines. Huge win for the American people. As House subcommittee votes to subpoena Epstein docs. All right. So a congressional subcommittee voted Wednesday to subpoena the U.S. Department of Justice to hand over files related to deceased convicted child sex pervert piece of shit fuckhead Jeffrey Epstein, thwarting an apparent effort by Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson, to delay further action on the matter until after summer recess. Oh, poor haircut. I bet he's so sad. The Oversight Subcommittee on Federal Law Enforcement voted 8-2 on a motion by Representative Summer Lee, Democrat out of Pennsylvania, to subpoena the Department of Justice for all records related to the investigation into Epstein. Apparently, the Department of Justice has revealed that Trump is on this client list. Yeah, maybe. The longtime former friend of Trump was convicted of procuring a child for prostitution in 2008 and faced federal child sex trafficking charges at the time of his suspicious 2019 jailhouse death, which was alleged death, which was officially ruled a suicide. Numerous members of this committee and this subcommittee have called for answers and transparency, said Lee, the top Democrat on the subcommittee. So let's do something about it. Yeah, a Democrat doing something about it. Yeah, we'll see. In addition to Lee, the motion was backed by Oversight Committee ranking member Robert Garcia, Democrat out of California, Wesley Bell, Democrat out of Missouri, Brian Jack, Republican out of Georgia, Nancy Mace, Republican out of South Carolina, Scott Perry, Republican out of Pennsylvania, and Ayanna Presley, Democrat out of Massachusetts, and Latifah Simon, Democrat out of California. There she is right there. Today, Oversight Democrats fought for transparency and accountability on the Epstein files and won, Garcia said. Well, I don't know if you won. You pushed it to the next step. You won when you released the fucking names. That's when you win. Garcia said, House Republicans didn't make it easy, but the motion was finally passed to force the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. Let's be clear, this is a huge win for the American people. He added, the public deserves to know who was complicit in Epstein's heinous crimes, including people with immense power in our government. Today's vote was just the first step toward accountability, and we will continue pushing for the truth. You know, the Epstein files were around when Biden was president. You know, they were around then too. Didn't release them then. Oversight Committee Chair James Comer, Republican out of Kentucky, must now sign the subpoena so it may be officially issued to U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi. Comer agreed to subpoena Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell, who is serving a 20-year prison sentence for child sex trafficking and other crimes as part of Epstein's alleged operation, following a separate oversight subcommittee's vote on Tuesday. Johnson on Tuesday said the lower chamber would adjourn on Wednesday, one day earlier than scheduled. Critics called the move a blatant attempt to thwart a vote on the Epstein documents, pointing to other recent moves, including the House Rules Committee blocking an amendment that would have forced the Department of Justice to release the full files to the public as proof of GOP stonewalling. Epstein allegedly ran a sex trafficking network involving underage girls, whom he is accused of flying aboard his personal jet, dubbed the Lolita Express, to his private island, Little St. James, in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where the billionaire financier and his guest abused the children. Trump partied with Epstein in the 90s and early 2000s and flew on the Lolita Express numerous times, although there is no evidence that he ever visited Little St. James or was involved in any of Epstein's crimes. Still, the president has appeared eager to move on from the issue after he and key members of his administration repeatedly advocated for the release of the Epstein files. That's funny. He said, yeah, we're going to release the Epstein files. Hey, you're on the list. There's no files. Come on, people. Trump has accused Democrats of amplifying the Epstein hoax and has derided his supporters, demanding full disclosure of all related documents as weaklings. Apparently confirming what estranged Trump advisor Elon Musk and others have asserted, Bondi informed the president in May that his name appears in the Epstein files, according to Wall Street Journal reporting published Wednesday. Trump is suing the paper and two reporters, as well as parent company News Corp and its founder, Rupert Murdoch, over reporting about a bodily illustrated letter Trump allegedly wrote for Epstein for his birthday. Asked by CNN Wednesday whether her constituents care about the Epstein case, Lee replied, yes, I think the American people want transparency. Well, not just here, not just in this case. We want transparency everywhere. At the end of the day, we have to send a message that whether you are the littlest guy or you are the most powerful person in this nation, that if you commit a crime, if you do things that we aren't supposed to do, that there will be some accountability, she added. Right now, if we don't vote on this or if we don't release these files, we're sending a message that if you are a powerful abuser, you will be covered. Yeah. So... And yesterday, the Department of Justice officials reportedly met with Maxwell over the files. So, and it was a private session, closed doors, no press, none of that. Controversy surrounding the Epstein files and Trump's administration deepened Thursday as officials from the U.S. Department of Justice were reported to have met with Maxwell, a longtime associate of the late convicted sex offender. According to ABC News, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche arrived Thursday morning at the U.S. Attorney's Office in Tallahassee, down in Florida. The office, located within the federal courthouse in the state capitol, also saw the arrival of Maxwell's legal team. The network reported. The Justice Department had previously announced on Tuesday that the meeting would take place in the coming days. Maxwell is currently serving a 20-year sentence, as we told you. The reported meeting follows mounting political and public pressure on the Trump administration to disclose further details about the Epstein investigation, an undertaking Trump and his aides had earlier pledged to support till he found out he was on the fucking list and then said, nope. He did the Godzilla meme where he's like flipping you off and going, nope. And then he goes back in the ocean. Godzilla don't want none of that. Trump shoots his mouth off so fucking much. And then they're like, dude, you need to shut the fuck up. You're on the list. Oh, what list? In an interview for The Guardian, Mark Epstein, the brother of Jeffrey Epstein, said that if given the chance, he would ask Maxwell what she and Jeffrey might have known what the dirt was on Trump. He added, because Jeffrey said he had dirt on Trump. I don't know what it was, but years ago, he said he had dirt on Trump. Mark Epstein also stated that he was not particularly worried about Maxwell, commenting, there's a lot of people on this planet. Like I said, it ain't just them. The rot is everywhere. It's in all these countries, especially one that begins with I and ends with Israel. Separately, Maxwell's brother, Ian Maxwell, told the New York Post that his sister was preparing new evidence in advance of the meeting with Justice Department officials. And I know I saw some of the commentary online about this and how, and this kind of makes sense, that she's going to make a deal. She's probably going to stay in jail till the end of Trump's term, and then she'll get pardoned his last day in office. and she'll be free. And in exchange, she'll say that there's, that Epstein didn't have a list. She'll say all this stuff. And they'll buy it because people are stupid. Epstein was found dead in his New York jail cell in 2019 while awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges, allegations he denied, linked to the sexual exploitation of dozens of underage girls. He had previously registered as a sex offender in Florida. Epstein had returned to prominence in U.S. business and political circles after negotiating a controversial plea deal on earlier charges because, yes, people protect their own like that. Even pedophiles. Renewed attention on Trump's past connections to Epstein has emerged following the Justice Department's recent decision not to release additional documents from its most recent Epstein probe, giggity, despite earlier commitments from both Trump and U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi to provide transparency. For years, the Epstein case has been surrounded by conspiracy theories fueled by his links to high-profile figures and the circumstances of his death, which was officially ruled a suicide. On Wednesday, the Wall Street Journal reported Trump had been informed by Bondi in May that his name appears multiple times in Justice Department files connected to Epstein. The report also indicated that other prominent individuals are named, and the department has no intention of disclosing further material related to the case because... Trump spokesperson Stephen Chung dismissed the report, stating via email, "The fact is the president kicked Epstein, out of his club for being a creep." Trump's a creep. If Trump thinks you're a creep, Jesus Christ. How creepy are you? Meanwhile, the House Oversight Committee, as we told you about that, and then there's rising public suspicion. We're going to get into that. Because everybody's got their ideas, their thoughts on what's happening with what happened with Epstein. Chances are you're not going to see the Epstein files. I'm pretty sure they're going to move heaven and earth. They're going to pull a BB and go blow up something and say, "Ooh, look at that over there instead. Look at that instead." Did any of you, Mariana says, did any of you see that Sean Atwood interviewed Epstein's niece? Don't know if she for sure is, but it was kind of crazy, all the claims she was making. Ooh. I could see that. Yeah. I mean, if they know it's safe, people will start coming out of the woodwork, but I don't think it's safe, although braver people have done crazier things to expose things, Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, those people. Oh, maybe there's somebody out there that can do that as well. Meanwhile, here in America, AI overlords are already making us pay higher energy prices. As AI fueling energy price rises, in the U.S., according to the Financial Times, because AI don't run on hugs and kisses. Sorry. Booming demand from artificial intelligence has been driving up electricity costs in the U.S. So as the crypto is doing that too, because you need mines, you need server mines for that. Lots and lots of electricity. AI has been driving up electricity costs in the U.S., Financial Times has reported, citing the country's largest grid operator, PJM. The surge is at odds with Trump's pledge to deliver more affordable energy for American households. Power use is being pushed higher by energy-hungry AI data centers, especially in Virginia's Data Center Alley. That's where I used to buy drugs, by the way. I would go in the Data Center Alley and get a dime bag. But I could only pay in ones and zeros because it's data. In particular, the demand for AI computing has exploded since ChatGPT became a household name, putting growing pressure on the grid. Experts say the boom, along with delays in new power projects and shutdowns of older plants, is forcing utilities to spend heavily on infrastructure. The PJM grid, which serves 65 million people across 13 states and Washington, D.C., damn, rubbing it in, DC's not a state, and DC, said on Tuesday it will pay power producers $16.1 billion to meet expected demand between mid-2026 and mid-2027, a 10% increase on last year. Customers are expected to see bills rise by up to 5%. Which the pressure is a blow to Trump's repeated vow to slash household energy bills by half. Labor Department data shows electricity prices rose 5.6% over the past year, while overall inflation stood at 2.7%. It's unpleasant for ratepayers, Timothy Fox from Clearview Energy Partners told the Financial Times, adding that higher auction prices will result in higher bills for customers. PJM introduced a cap after prices soared 800% last year. Remember that? Remember how fucking hot it was? And then cold. The auction sets payments for producers to supply power during peak demand, helping avoid blackouts. However, this year's results still came in near the ceiling at over $329 per megawatt day. Yikes. Rising costs add to inflationary pressure from Trump's own policies, including global tariffs and his so-called big, beautiful bullshit bill, both of which have added to the burden on American households. Analysts warn the power crunch will intensify. PJM projects a 32 gigawatt jump in demand by 2030, nearly all of it from data centers. Tech giants such as Amazon are already scouring the grid for extra capacity, helping drive prices even higher. So if you thought AI was just some sort of fuckery, that's like, it's just like some code and stuff like that. Nah, it takes electricity. It takes electricity to run that shit. And the more people want AI, the more electricity it's going to take, and the more it's going to cost you. That's right, you, the consumer. Delicious. I found that the push for people to have more babies in this country is kind of silly, seeing how the U.S. fertility rate has dropped to a new low, according to the Center for Disease Control data. Oh, little baby toe, little big full little toe. The fertility rate in the United States has dropped to a new low of 1.6 children per woman, according to new data from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Their porn name is CDC. The data released on Thursday continues a trend in birth rates that has been sliding downward for nearly 2 decades. We're seeing this as part of an ongoing process of fertility delay. We know that the U.S. population is still growing, and we still have a natural increase, more births than deaths. Leslie Root, a University of Colorado Boulder researcher focused on fertility and population policy, told AP. The U.S. fertility rate has gone up and down over the years, reaching 3.5% in the early 1960s, before dropping to 1.7% by 1976 and then rebounding to 2.1% in 2007. Guess a lot of people excited about Obama. Lower fertility rates are common in wealthier countries, and the new figures put the U.S. roughly on par with its Western European counterparts. The birth rate trends can be influenced by a variety of factors, including economic stability, can you afford to have a kid, and the affordability of necessities such as housing. Do you have enough shit for your kid? Experts pointed to how those influences can place strains on households and affect mental health. Worry is not a good moment to have kids. Karen Guzzo, the director of Carolina Population Center at the University of North Carolina, told the AP. Some lawmakers have expressed alarm over declining fertility rates and called on the government to take a more active role in encouraging people to have children and promoting policies that facilitate that goal. Now, if you've ever seen the movie Idiocracy, I'll spoil it just a little bit off the top. So basically, in 500 years, everybody is just stupid, just incredibly stupid. How they're still alive, how they're still functioning, I don't know. But the way they got there was the stupid people were breeding nonstop. like 4, 5, 6 different baby daddies and mamas and stuff like that. Meanwhile, the smart, intelligent people stopped having kids. And I think you're starting to see that now. Because I know a lot of smart people who do not have kids, and they're like, I don't want kids. I don't want to. That's just not for me. And then I know a lot of dumb people who just can't keep it in their pants. That's where we're at. Officials within the administration in Trumpy's place have floated the idea of changing tax policy to favor people who have children, which I thought there he did. And Trump issued an executive order meant to reduce barriers to processes such as in vitro fertilization. At an event during Women's History Month, Trump even dubbed himself the fertility president. Oh, Jesus Christ. Also, I read this thing not a few years ago that of women, a survey of women who had gotten abortions, right? And they were asked if you had free health care, right? If you didn't have to worry about hospital bills or anything like that to have a kid, 70% of those polled would say, yeah, I'd probably have the baby instead because it's the financial factors that keeps me from having this kid. I can't afford a kid, right? But Trumpy, in his infinite wisdom, has moved to slash funding for social programs that experts say can offer an important safety net for working people who want to have a family but may be worried about the financial strain. So they're like, oh yeah, have babies. Yeah, keep having these. Come on, have some more babies. Well, you can't afford them. Well, still, have some babies. Cuts have also affected medical researchers investigating fertility-related treatments. The things that they are doing are really symbolic and not likely to budge things for real Americans, said Guzzo. Yeah, I mean, we joke, ha ha, he, that we're heading towards idiocracy. And folks, we're heading towards idiocracy, and it may not even take 500 years. It may not even take 50 years. At the rate we're going. Oh yeah. Yeah, we had all kinds of deaths too. We had Malcolm Jamal Warner, Theo, from the Cosby Show. He drowned. Ozzy Osbourne, I think he had Parkinson's. But he did a show a couple of weeks ago, the final show. That's the way you want to go out as a rocker. Just like, fuck it. Let's get on stage. I don't care how much pain I'm in. I don't care how crazy or demented I am. Let's do it. Hulk Hogan, and he's dead. And Chuck Mangione, Trumpist. You may have heard his smooth, dulcet tones of his trumpet back in the day. If you're an oldie like me, you remember shit like that. Trump is proof that we're living. Yeah, he might as well be Hector Camacho, whatever the fuck his name, Nacho Camacho, wearing the wearing the WWE belt. You know, I mean, we're there. He used to be with WWE. I mean, we're getting there. Yeah, Hulk Hogan. Yeah, Hulk Hogan no longer with us. Can't remember how he died. He had some really bad back troubles. Yeah, Bella. There it is. He had some really bad back troubles from when his wrestling days too, right? I think he had like a few. He shrank. He had it because he had a few vertebra fused together. Oh yeah, the Chuck Mangione repeating gag on King of the Hill. I like me some Chuck Mangione. Wasn't that his wife's? He died from a heart attack. Okay, yeah, he was in a lot of pain. But he was a racist piece of shit. Fuck him. Meanwhile, in Canada, apparently, the U.S. Coast Guard. You thought, the Coast Guard, they're fine, folks. Oh no. Canadian man accuses U.S. Coast Guard of capsizing his boat and jailing him on bogus illegal fishing claims. Oh, Canada. Hector Elizondo Camacho. Hector Elizondo's a character actor, Mariana. You just added Camacho. He's one of those that guys. A Canadian man is accusing the U.S. Coast Guard of capsizing his boat and illegally detaining him on bogus claims that he was fishing in American waters. Wow. CTV News reported Wednesday that 60-year-old Edward Lallemond, I think that's French, of Quebec says he was fishing near Venise in Quebec, which is a little less than 10 miles from the U.S. border, still in Canada country, when a U.S. Coast Guard boat approached him and asked him to turn off his boat's engine. After he complied with the request, Lallemond told CTV News the Coast Guard members informed him that he was fishing illegally in U.S. waters, despite the fact that he had fished in that exact same location for years and had never encountered any problems. Lallemond insisted he was in Canada and then started his engine, which runs on maple syrup. That's how you can tell you're in Canada. And indicated to the Coast Guard officials that he would be happy to talk with them further on shore. However, the Coast Guard, being dicks, their vessel followed Lallemond's boat closely and seemed to be trying to push it toward U.S. waters, which he said caused it to capsize. Even after he fell into the water, Lallemond said the Coast Guard members seemed more concerned about securing his boat than helping him out. They're tying my boat to their boat, he said. They're not even taking care of me. The third time I went down, coming out with water in my mouth, spitting it out, I said, throw me a buoy. The Coast Guard members pulled him out onto their boat and proceeded to handcuff him and place him in the custody of U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers, who brought him to a detention facility where they fingerprinted him and locked him in a cell for fishing in Canada. For fishing in Canada. I said, you're arresting me? No, sir, you're detained, he explained to CTV. I said, detained for what? I said, you aggressed me. I didn't do nothing to you guys. I didn't even hit you guys. He was released from detention after 2 hours and returned to Canada. However, he said his experience was bad enough that it should be a warning to fellow Canadian boaters. I want the people to know and to be aware. Stay away from the border, he said, even if it's 500, 600 feet from there. Lallemond's wife, Darlene Fielding, told CTV she was flabbergasted at the treatment her husband received at the hands of the Coast Guard. We treat our pets better than they treated him, she said. Which is not really saying much. I mean, people treat their pets like children these days. I mean, come on. In a statement given to CTV, the Coast Guard acknowledged capsizing Lallemond's boat, but insisted that he was to blame. Let's hear this bullshit. While the Coast Guard's 29-foot response boat was alongside the vessel, the operator put the vessel in motion and ignored commands to maintain course and speed for boarding purposes. Well, you move the boat for... No, you stop the boats and then you board. What the fuck did they talk? The Coast Guard said, the vessel then made an abrupt starboard turn and struck the port bow of the Coast Guard small boat approximately 65 yards south of the U.S.-Canadian border. The collision caused the vessel to capsize, putting the operator in the water. The fucking Coast Guard now. I thought they were like, we're not really military. We just kind of hang out. But now they're using the Coast Guard to like do all this border shit. And well, there you go. These evil Canadians fishing in Canada. Can't even fish in fucking Canada anymore. Yeah, so meanwhile, in fuck Vegas, where evil rules, Israeli forces kill 79 Palestinians over 24 hours, including 23 attempting to reach aid. This is from antiwar.com by Dave DeCamp. Please check them out. They do a great job aggregating news articles from all over. Independent and not, but you can read some of these mainstream media articles and see through the bullshit now that you have your special spectacles. Instead of x-ray specs, you can see through your hand, you can see through bullshit. Gaza's health ministry said yesterday that Israeli attacks killed at least 79 Palestinians and wounded 453 over the previous 24-hour period as U.S.-backed Israeli strikes continue to pound the strip and IDF troops are gunning down people seeking aid. The health ministry said that the bodies of another 10 Palestinians killed in previous Israeli attacks were recovered from the rubble. A number of victims are still under the rubble and on the streets where ambulance and civil defense crews are unable to reach them at this time, the ministry wrote on Telegram. Among the dead were 23 Palestinians who were killed by Israeli forces while attempting to get aid, and another 68 aid seekers were wounded. The health ministry said that since the U.S. and Israeli-backed Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, the GHF, or the Go Fuck Yourself crew, began operating at the end of May, 1,083 aid seekers have been killed and over 7,000 have been injured. The Palestinian news agency WAFA reported that dozens of Palestinians, including children, were killed and injured by heavy Israeli strikes on the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood in Gaza City. The exact death toll is unclear as rescue operations are difficult to conduct under Israeli bombings. WAFA also reported Israeli strikes in southern and central Gaza in the central Nusrat refugee camp. 3 people, including a child and an infant, were killed by an Israeli strike on a home in nearby Deir al-Balah, where the IDF has been conducting a ground offensive. At least 3 people were killed by Israeli shelling. Palestinians have continued to starve to death due to the Israeli blockade, with the health ministry reporting 2 malnutrition-related deaths over 24 hours. The latest violence and starvation deaths comes as Israel has withdrawn its negotiators from Doha after rejecting Hamas's latest ceasefire proposal, which we'll tell you about here in a moment, suggesting it's unlikely a truce deal will be reached anytime soon. And there are the numbers. You know the numbers. They're not numbers. They're people. I understand. Sharp rise in the number of Gaza children suffering malnutrition, UN reports. Figures released by the UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, that would be OCHA, Tuesday showed a sharp increase in hunger in the Gaza Strip. A screening conducted by the UN and other organizations in the first 2 weeks of July found that among 56,440 children from different areas of Gaza, almost 5,000 were suffering from acute malnutrition and 838 from extreme malnutrition. That meant that 8.8% of the enclave's children were malnourished in early July, up from 2.4% in July. The survey is based on a simple test conducted in clinics throughout Gaza by measuring the thickness of children's forearms. Interesting. A dietary diversity survey taken in June found that 95% of Gaza's children consume no more than 2 of the 8 essential food groups, a significant increase from 60% in February. As of Sunday, 218 children were being hospitalized for hunger. 218 children were being hospitalized for hunger was growing in Gaza for malnutrition, 29 of whom were admitted in July alone. That's I think they fucked that sentence up. The UN noted that childhood malnutrition can harm brain development, weaken the immune system, and delay physical and cognitive development, and also death. A significant proportion of children in Gaza are expected to suffer from these symptoms in the coming years. Further evidence of the spread of hunger in Gaza was the sharp increase in flour prices there. According to a UN report, the price of a kilogram bag of flour has soared to about $100. On Wednesday, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, the head of the World Health Organization, I'm going to call him TAG, told a press conference that hunger was growing in Gaza and that WHO's aid centers were already filled to capacity with malnourished patients and did not have the means to treat them. He condemned the army's attack on the organization's headquarters in Deir al-Balah earlier this week. The food shortage and the evacuation orders issued by the IDF this week have caused the near collapse of the network of community kitchens operated by the World Food Program and other organizations. During the week, the kitchens managed to produce 150,000 meals in 64 kitchens, a sharp drop from the approximately 1 million meals a day they provided a few months ago. At the beginning of the week, the World Central Kitchen Organization ceased operations due to food shortages and the IDF's forced evacuation of 4 kitchens in the Deir al-Balah area. Families generally survive on a single nutritiously poor meal per day, and in some cases, people go entire days without eating. To survive, people are forced to resort to increasingly desperate and undignified coping strategies, ranging from fasting to reducing meal size, rationing bread for children, borrowing, begging, and scavenging for food from garbage, the UN report said. The state is due to respond on Thursday to a petition submitted by 4 human rights organizations demanding that it immediately open all the crossings into Gaza to prevent famine. The petition was originally submitted in May by Gisha, the Association for Civil Rights in Israel, Hamoked, the Center for the Defense of the Individual, and Physicians for Human Rights. Since then, Justice Yosef Elron has granted 10 requests by the state to postpone its response. And this is going to continue. The GHF are nothing but fucking terrorists, right? With U.S. Mercenaries capping women and children. I'm telling you, man. Come on, rocks. If you can find a better solution than falling rocks from the sky to solve a lot of these problems, I'm all ears. But I don't know. What's up, Desert Man? It's good to see you. Show the list, show the list, show the list. Hell yeah. What's easy for me to say? Nothing's easy for me to say. Have you heard the way I fuck up all these words? Come on. So no fucks given in Israel. They voted to annex the West Bank, and well, Hamas is not having that. Hamas condemns Israeli Knesset vote backing West Bank's annexation. Hey Steve, what's up? Good morning. The Palestinian resistance movement, Hamas, condemned on Wednesday the Israeli Knesset, that's their parliament, approval of a non-binding motion in favor of annexing the West Bank, Anadolu agency reported. Hamas released a statement saying the vote by the Zionist occupation's Knesset on a draft resolution to impose sovereignty over the occupied West Bank in preparation for annexation is null and void and has no legitimacy and will not alter the identity of Palestinian land. Hamas called on Palestinians in the West Bank to escalate resistance in all its forms to thwart the projects of the fascist Zionist occupation. The group also urged the international community to take action to put an end to the recklessness of the occupation, its fascist policies, and its ongoing violations of our Palestinian people's rights. For its part, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine also decried the vote and said the Israeli occupation has complete control over the West Bank and carries out all forms of crimes against the Palestinians, including ethnic cleansing, the destruction of infrastructure, and land confiscation, while allowing settler gangs to carry out all forms of crimes against the Palestinian people and their properties. The Israeli Knesset, or parliament, voted Wednesday for a non-binding motion for the agenda to annex the occupied West Bank. The motion was backed by 71 members of the 120-seat assembly against 13 votes, the Yedioth Ahronoth Daily reported. According to the newspaper, the proposal is not legally or legislatively binding, but rather a declaration by the Knesset. Still, that's pretty bad. That they would even consider doing that, even symbolically. Israel has occupied the West Bank since 1967 Middle East War. Since the start of Israel's genocidal war on Gaza, nearly 1,000 Palestinians have been killed and more than 7,000 injured in the occupied territory by Israeli forces and illegal settlers, the Palestinian Health Ministry said. In a landmark opinion last July, the ICJ declared Israel's occupation of Palestinian territory illegal and called for the evacuation of all settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem, to which Israel replied, yeah, we're not doing that. So there was this, Hamas actually said, this is what we want in a ceasefire. And of course, the U.S. and Israel said, wait, what? No, you're not supposed to get what you want, silly beans. Hamas rejects Witkoff's claims, says ceasefire still possible. The Palestinian resistance movement Hamas expressed surprise at recent remarks by U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff, who criticized the group's response to a ceasefire proposal mediated in Doha. Hamas emphasized that its position reflects a serious commitment to reaching a comprehensive agreement that would end the war on Gaza. In a statement issued late Thursday, Hamas said it has consistently approached the negotiations with national responsibility and high flexibility, aiming to reach a deal that would halt Israel's military offensive and alleviate the suffering of Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. The group noted that its final response to the latest proposal came after extensive consultations with Palestinian factions, mediators, and friendly countries, and included constructive input on all comments received. Hamas characterized this as a clear indication of its commitment to the success of mediation efforts and to continued engagements with diplomatic initiatives. Hamas said it was surprised by Witkoff's negative statements, especially as mediators had reportedly welcomed the group's response and regarded it as opening the door to a possible agreement. The group reiterated its readiness to continue negotiations in good faith with the goal of reaching a permanent ceasefire. Witkoff has accused Hamas of not showing good faith and acting selfishly, adding that Washington would withdraw its negotiating team from Doha for consultations and consider alternative options for the release of Israeli captives. Witkoff is currently in Italy for meetings on Gaza ceasefire efforts, with U.S. and Israeli media reporting that he will hold discussions with senior officials from the region. Simultaneously, Israel announced the recall of its negotiating delegation from Doha, as we told you. So, however, two sources familiar with the talks told Reuters that this move did not necessarily signal a breakdown in negotiations. According to the New York Times, officials from several countries believe the U.S. and Israeli withdrawals may be tactical. Israel confirmed on Thursday that it had received Hamas's latest response to the ceasefire proposal under discussion in Doha for over 2 weeks and was currently reviewing it. A senior Hamas source told Reuters that a ceasefire deal remains possible, though further time is needed due to what he called Israeli procrastination. The indirect negotiations, which resumed in Doha on July 6th, are being mediated by Qatar and Egypt with U.S. support. The proposal reportedly includes a prisoner exchange and a 60-day ceasefire, during which further negotiations would take place to reach a permanent end to the conflict, although, as we all know, Israel likes to take the word ceasefire and use it as toilet paper. Israeli media have reported that key sticking points remain, particularly regarding the scale of Israeli troop withdrawal from Gaza and the number of categories of Palestinian prisoners to be released. There we go. In Lebanon, Hezbollah is rejecting the U.S. roadmap as surrender, which is probably what they want. They just want them to surrender. So Lebanon's Hezbollah rejects U.S. roadmap. Hezbollah's first response to the U.S. roadmap for Lebanon came in a speech earlier this month by the group's leader, Naim Qassem, who declared, "We are a people who do not surrender." U.S. Special Envoy Tom Barak has proposed a plan to Lebanon's top officials that would see the full disarmament of Hezbollah within 4 months. In return, Israel would halt its strikes, wink, 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 like they did in Syria, and withdraw its forces from positions it still occupies in southern Lebanon. I'm not going to do that. In his address, Qassem, I want to say Kasem, like Casey Kasem, reiterated Hezbollah's readiness to discuss all matters, including its weapons, but only within the context of a Lebanese national dialogue and not under American pressure or threats. Last week, Hezbollah members of parliament said that recent parliamentary hearings have shown there is room for national consensus on key sovereignty-related issues. One of the main concerns increasingly raised by the international community has been the deepening crisis of trust between foreign powers and the Lebanese leadership, particularly the president and the prime minister. Western diplomatic sources told Middle East Eye that foreign governments remain skeptical about the Lebanese state's ability to implement weapons containment and broader reforms. According to sources close to Hezbollah, the group's recent messaging has been intentional and clear. It rejects the U.S. proposal outright, viewing it not as a basis for negotiation, but as a surrender document and therefore unacceptable. Barak, who is also special envoy for Syria, returned to Beirut this week for his third visit in just over a month, continuing discussions around the U.S.-backed roadmap for Lebanon. The plan includes the disarmament of non-state armed groups, long overdue economic reforms, and improved relations with Damascus. From Hezbollah's perspective, the flurry of visits, meetings, and press conferences led by Barak's carries no blessing. Sources close to the group say Hezbollah rejects the idea of disarmament while Israeli occupation and threats persist. However, it remains open to negotiating the transfer of its weapons to the Lebanese army within the framework of a national defense strategy. For months, Lebanon has requested that I don't know if that's a good idea either, because the Lebanese government is pretty much like the Palestine government. They're all pretty cucky. For months, Lebanon has requested that the U.S. serve as a security guarantor, ensuring that Israel fully withdraws its forces and stops targeting Hezbollah members, strikes that have persisted despite the ceasefire should the group be surrendering its weapons. It's 11:11 here in the Central Time Zone. Mega wish. However, when asked on Monday whether Washington would guarantee the Israeli withdrawal, Barak responded that the U.S. has no business in trying to compel Israel to do anything. Well, they're their own people, even though they bought and paid for all of our government. Barak also told reporters that the U.S. was not going to force Hezbollah to disarm or sanction the country if progress is not achieved. Wow, that's mighty human of you. While Hezbollah has handed in some weapons from depots in the country's south to the Lebanese army, Israel says the group is violating the ceasefire. Israel accusing somebody of violating a ceasefire. That's funny. That'd be like me saying, man, you are really white. Israel says the group is violating the ceasefire by attempting to reestablish itself. That is so funny. Hezbollah has opposed Israeli pressure on the Lebanese army to destroy any weapons it receives from the group, viewing it as an attempt to prevent their integration into Lebanon's national defense strategy. That's why they're handing over the weapons they would want to hand over to the government so they can keep the weapons and use them. They're not going to do like they did in Syria, destroy like 70, 80, 90% of their, military infrastructure, and now it's it's Helltown. It's Libya. The sources cited one incident in which the Lebanese army took possession of a rocket launcher from a Hezbollah depot but did not destroy it. This prompted an immediate warning from the International Monitoring Committee established after the ceasefire, chaired by a U.S. general. Hey, how about that? International Monitoring Committee. The same sources said an earlier U.S. proposal had been more reasonable than what they described as Barak's offer of total surrender. Washington has set firm conditions, a clear written timeline for implementation starting in South Lebanon and expanding northward, swift execution within weeks, and full weapons containment by the end of the year. It also calls for direct international monitoring of every step, including documented access to Hezbollah's weapons depots, photographic evidence of the arms, and a public acknowledgement from Hezbollah endorsing the disarmament mechanism, which you're not going to do. Why don't you do that with Israel? Why don't you monitor Israel too? Oh, but there are partners. There are partners. I hear that a lot in this space. There are partners. I'm like, you're not your fucking partners, you fucking grifters. In parallel, Lebanon has outlined its own set of demands: full Israeli compliance with the ceasefire, the activation of the International Monitoring Committee, and the continued presence and role of the United Nations Interim Force, UNIFIL, in Lebanon. Beirut has also requested assurances regarding the situation in Syria, reflecting growing concern among Lebanese factions about the fallout from recent developments, particularly in the Druze majority Swaida province. And if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. The sectarian violence in Syria has further complicated the Lebanese security landscape. Observers say that the ongoing violence and Israeli attacks on Syria has reinforced Hezbollah's argument for holding on to its weapons as a means of protecting vulnerable communities. Of course, there's war still going on. Of course, they want to keep their fucking weapons. Bridget Macron's massive cock. Hello, Desert Steve. Desert Steve. Kate Chuck, Dove, Warren, good to see you. Is that you, Kitty? I know Kitty likes to dress up. He likes to put on his little disguises. Okay. So during his previous visit to Beirut earlier in July, Barak said he was satisfied with the Lebanese government's response to the U.S. proposal. Still, he warned that without a serious commitment from Lebanon, neither the West nor the Gulf appear ready to provide support for the country's recovery. Oh, like they want your fucking help. Come on. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and now the UAE are coming in and saying if we can get to where everybody can just calm down, we will help redevelop that portion of Lebanon, which is huge, Barak told reporters. If that were actually true, they're ready to provide funding once Hezbollah is disarmed. And, well, guess what? Hezbollah's not going to disarm because you know what? They're not stupid. They've gotten this far without being stupid. You know, they're not stupid. Stephanie spoken class today. Aloha. You're not even in Hawaii. Stop it. Poser. You're posing as Hawaiian. Speaking of Hawaiian, I cut up a pineapple for the first time in my life this week. And wow, fresh pineapple. And it's cheaper too. I know people like to get the big tubs of it already pre-cut, but cut it yourself, save yourself a bunch of cash, and eat that pineapple. It's so good for you. It's got so much good stuff in there for you. Anyway, sidebar. Meanwhile, guess what? Dude, you got a Dell and a Genocide, as Dell supplied tech used in Israeli kill list programs, according to a report. Dum. Dell Technologies enjoys deeper ties with the Israeli military than previously known, including enabling Israeli soldiers to target and kill Palestinian civilians using AI technologies, the Electronic Intifada reported yesterday. In January 2023, the U.S.-based multinational won a $150 million tender from Israel's defense ministry to supply servers and IT infrastructure to the Israeli army, other security bodies, and the ministry itself. Hang on just a second. Let's see if I can make this. No, I guess that's okay. And the military itself. Where is that? Okay. The deal includes includes services provided by Dell's subsidiaries, VMware. Oh no, VMware. That's like that's a virtual machine thing. And EMC, Israel Advanced Information Technologies, which offered both technology and training to Israeli military units. According to the watchdog group whoprofits.org, Dell is also involved in occupation-linked initiatives such as Israel's National Cyber Park in the Negev Desert, a joint government industry academia project explicitly designed to advance military cyber capabilities. However, internal documents obtained by the Electronic Intifada reveal a deeper level of complicity than previously reported. These documents show that Dell technology is actively used in Israeli military operations involving artificial intelligence, including tools allegedly responsible for mass surveillance and automated targeting of Palestinians. Among the systems supported by Dell infrastructure are the Gospel, an AI program that generates infrastructure targets, Lavender, which produces algorithm-driven kill lists, and Where's Daddy, a tool used to track individuals and bomb them once they return home. Where's Daddy? You gotta be fucking shitting me. Dell's rugged AI-powered laptops are reportedly used by Israel's elite Unit 8200 cyber warfare unit, while its servers and networking hardware support facial recognition systems developed by the Israeli firm Anyvision, which is deployed widely at checkpoints across the occupied Palestinian territories. Beneficiaries of Dell's technologies include the Golani Brigade, implicated in the killing of 15 paramedics in Rafah in April last year, the Flotilla 13 Naval Unit, and the Israeli Air Force. Elbit Systems Land and C-41, the communications arm of the Israeli arms giant, also receives Dell equipment. Dell's ties to the Israeli military stretch back nearly 2 decades. In 2006, it provided 50,000 computers to the Israeli army. After merging with EMC Corporation in 2016, Dell absorbed a large R&D presence in Israel, that's research and development for the unwashed, which founder and CEO Michael Dell described as a center of excellence. This creepy motherfucker right here. At a 2016 tech conference in Tel Aviv, Dell stated the company was deeply committed to Israel and later met with Israeli Prime Minister and hellbound piece of shit Benjamin Netanyahu, now wanted by the ICC for war crimes. In January last year, amid escalating violence in Gaza, Michael Dell posted a photo with Israeli President Isaac Herzog on social media, writing, "It's an honor to stand with Isaac Herzog and Israel." Fucking gross. Gross. World Economic Forum, there you go. Herzog's comments blaming an entire nation in Gaza for the October 7 attacks were cited in the ICJ's interim ruling ordering Israel to halt genocidal acts. He told your cuck husband no more dick until he declared Palestine. He's going to do it. Oh, no. Genocide, he's probably not going to do that. But he said they're going to, well, we'll tell you about that in a second. Dell is also reportedly a major donor to Friends of the Israeli Defense Forces, a U.S.-based fundraising organization. It should be cucks for the IDF. In a July report, UN Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese condemned the corporate complicity in Israel's actions. Corporate actors are deeply entwined in the system of occupation, apartheid, and genocide, she wrote, highlighting how companies like Dell, Microsoft, and Palantir are enabling a live-streamed genocide through AI technologies and cloud infrastructure. Corporations cannot claim neutrality, Albanese warned. They are either part of the machinery of displacement or part of dismantling it. Dum. Dum, 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 dum. Dell can go to hell. Why won't you do that? Okay, fine. Speaking of France, or were we speaking of France? Oh, we were speaking of France, yeah, with Brigitte Macron's massive cock. Yeah, so the reference to that is apparently Macron is suing Trump because he said his wife was transgender. I don't know. That's something for the other shows to chew on. We aren't doing that shit here, but it's fun to see it in the chat. That's funny. So France to recognize Palestinian state later this year. At UN General Assembly, Macron has announced, "My wife may be a man, but I am a man too, and I say Palestine is a state, but I won't say it till September." France will officially recognize a Palestinian state this September at the UN General Assembly, according to President Emmanuel Macron. In a statement on the tweeters Thursday evening, Macron expressed his hope that his decision would contribute to peace in the region. He shared a letter addressed to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, confirming France's intention to be the first major Western power to acknowledge a Palestinian state. Let's see. Consistent with its historic commitment to a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, I have decided that France will recognize the state of Palestine, Macron stated. "I will make this solemn announcement before the UN General Assembly this coming September." That's so weird. It's like, well, why not say it now? But I guess you make it official at the UN. I don't know how that works. Macron emphasized the urgent need to address the ongoing Israeli war against the people of Gaza, stating the immediate priority today is to end the war in Gaza and bring relief to the civilian population. I'm going to do the accent again. That's a little much. "We need an immediate ceasefire, the release of all hostages, and massive humanitarian aid for the people of Gaza. We must also ensure the demilitarization of Hamas." Good luck with that. "Secure and rebuild Gaza. Finally, we must build the state of Palestine, guarantee its viability, ensure that by accepting its demilitarization and fully recognizing Israel, there we go. It contributes to the security of all in the region," he said. So there we go. He said, yeah, we must build the state, but we must build a complicit little bitch to Israel. That's what he's basically saying right there. accepting demilitarization and fully recognizing Israel. They're not going to do it, especially now. Not if you've killed hundreds of thousands of their people. Fuck you. The French people want peace in the Middle East. It is our responsibility as French citizens, alongside Israelis, Palestinians, and our European and international partners, to demonstrate that peace is possible, he added. In light of the commitments made to me by the president of the Palestinian Authority, I have written to him to express my determination to move forward, he said. France has been pushing European countries, including the UK, the Netherlands, and Belgium, to jointly recognize the state of Palestine at the forthcoming event. France and the UK would be the first G7 nations to recognize the state of Palestine, a decades-long demand from the Palestinians. More than 140 UN member states recognize the Palestinian state, with Spain, Ireland, and Norway joining the ranks last year. The Israeli regime's prime minister, Fuckface McGee, criticized France's decision, arguing that it rewards terror. No, it does. This doesn't do anything for Israel at all. I don't understand what he's talking about. Rewards terror. He added, this would serve as a launch pad for the annihilation of Israel rather than living in peace alongside. You have nukes. You have fucking nukes, dude. Bibi also asserted, let's be clear, the Palestinians do not seek a state alongside Israel. They seek a state instead of Israel. Damn right. Because fuck Israel. Israel's Minister for Military Affairs, Israel Katz, echoed these sentiments, labeling Macron's announcement as a disgrace and a surrender. We will not allow the establishment of a Palestinian entity that would harm our security, endanger our existence, and undermine our historical rights. French officials initially considered this move in connection with a UN conference that France and Saudi Arabia plan to co-host in June, aimed at outlining the framework for a Palestinian state while ensuring Israel's security. However, the conference was postponed due to U.S. pressure and the escalation of hostilities in the region. The event was later rescheduled and downgraded to a ministerial meeting on July 28th and 29th, with a follow-up gathering involving heads of state expected to take place on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in September. Old Huckabee. Man, you looking rough, dude. Mike Huckabee, he's like the ambassador to Israel. And he's starting to find out that sunshine over there a little bit brighter than it is down in Arkansas. By announcing France's recognition of a Palestinian state ahead of this upcoming conference, the French government aims to establish a framework for collaboration with other countries that are either considering similar recognition or remain hesitant. This decision may also provoke backlash in Washington. Of course it will. A diplomatic cable from June indicated that the U.S. opposes any unilateral recognition of a Palestinian state because their mommies, the Israelis, said so. Gross. Well, I don't know what that's going to do, but he did it, so there you go. It's probably going to mean absolutely nothing. Probably he might get a few other countries on board, but every little bit helps. I don't know. We'll see. So I saw the flotilla. I got a story about that, but I guess apparently they had lost contact with that flotilla. But Chuck says that they that they're 300. They're pretty close, I think. Germany, UK, and France declare opposition to any attempts to impose Israeli sovereignty over occupied Palestine territories. Yeah, at least they're providing lip service. We'll see how that goes. Meanwhile, senior Iranian official says Tehran could leave the non-proliferation treaty if Europe keeps up their bullshit. If Europe reimposes sanctions. A senior Iranian official explained that the Islamic Republic could leave the NPT, that's the non-proliferation treaty, if the Europeans move to reimpose UN sanctions on Tehran. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi told reporters that if snapback sanctions were reimposed, Iran would retaliate, including potentially by leaving the NPT. Under the NPT, non-nuclear weapon states agreed to limit their nuclear program To civilian purposes, Israel has an undeclared nuclear weapons program and is not a party to the NPT. Isn't that funny? Under the 2015 Iran nuclear deal, Tehran agreed to limit its civilian nuclear program in exchange for the removal of UN sanctions on Iran. The snapback mechanism is part of the deal that would lead to the UN sanctions getting reimposed on Iran if Tehran broke the Iran nuclear deal. However, Trump broke the deal in 2018 by withdrawing from the agreement and placing unilateral sanctions on Tehran. Trump is now demanding that the European nations that are parties to the agreement, the UK, France, and Germany, trigger the snapback sanctions. Garibabadi is part of the Iranian team currently negotiating with the Europeans to prevent the reimposition of sanctions. While Tehran has previously threatened that withdrawing from the NPT could be a response to Israeli or American aggression, the Iranian diplomat explained, "I'm quite confident that if the snapback is triggered, Iran will not show more restraint in this regard." They're saying, "Yeah, we're done with you dumb shit. You try this shit again, we're just gonna do our own thing, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it." He added that Tehran did not plan to develop nuclear weapons. Iran's policies have not been changed after the aggression. We are even more determined to pursue our policies, Garibabadi said. That's a fun name to say, Garibabadi. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but fuck it, I'm saying it like that. Starting in April, the U.S. and Iran engaged in 5 rounds of talks aimed at establishing a new nuclear agreement. Tehran reports that the negotiations were making significant progress until Israel attacked Iran in June, scuttling the planned 6 rounds of talk. Because Israel always fucks shit up. They always do. So all kinds of screwy fuckery going on in Syria, as you can tell. Like I said, it's basically Libya. Once the HTS took over, it was just like all hell broke loose over there. Shura-led a secret committee shakes down Syrian tycoons for $1.6 billion. So he's going after them billionaires now. A secretive committee under Syria's U.S.-backed leadership has quietly taken control of over $1.6 billion in assets formerly held by businessmen linked to President Bashar al-Assad's regime, according to a Reuters investigation published yesterday. The asset takeover, conducted outside public view, is part of an economic overhaul directed by Hazem al-Shura, the older brother of Syria's self-appointed president, Ahmad al-Shura. He keeps saying formerly known as. Just stick with his name. Come on, people. Nobody cares about his old name unless it's in context. The government has not publicly acknowledged the committee's existence, yet it wields sweeping influence over business and investment in the country. The committee is headed by Abraham Sukhari, an Australian of Lebanese descent who is known by several aliases, including Abu Mariam and Ibrahim bin Masoud. Sukhari, sanctioned in Australia for alleged terrorism financing, left Brisbane in 2013, shortly before his brother carried out a suicide bombing in Syria. Sources told Reuters the committee has negotiated directly with sanctioned and unsanctioned tycoons, demanding that they hand over substantial parts of their wealth in exchange for immunity and permission to resume operations. So they're shaking them down. It's like they need that protection money. Some people are like, yeah, fuck those tycoons. I'm like, yeah, fuck them too. Among the most significant targets was The Group, a conglomerate of over 100 companies formed under Assad's economic czar, Ibrahim, and estimated to control up to 30% of Syria's economic output by 2024. One key target was Syriatel, the country's main telecoms operator, now controlled by the committee through a newly appointed signatory. Cham Wings, Syria's only private airline, was also restructured and rebranded as Fly Cham. Owner Issam Shamut surrendered 45% of the airline, paid $50 million, and transferred 2 aircraft to Syrian Air in exchange for immunity or for protection. Business magnate Mohammed Hamsho, whose assets once exceeded $640 million, gave up 80% of his holdings under a similar deal. He retained about $150 million, while some family members maintain ownership of smaller companies. Hazem al-Shura, who worked as a former PepsiCo manager in Iraq while his brother led Syria's al-Qaeda affiliate, now plays a central role in guiding these economic transitions. He holds no official position, but reportedly has wide authority over Syria's business affairs. The consolidation of power in the hands of anonymous or foreign-born figures has raised concerns among diplomats and analysts. 4 senior Western officials warned that such opacity could deter foreign investment and complicate Syria's reintegration into the global economy. Public sentiment inside Syria is tense. It's insulting to Syrians, said protester Abdel Hamid al-Assaf, who joined demonstrations against Hamshow's return. There is resentment in the Syrian street over the return of Assad's businessmen or anyone who worked hand in hand with Assad. In 2022, Arabic media reports revealed that Shara and fellow leaders from Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, the artist formerly known as HTS, in the group's stronghold in Idlib, government invested hundreds of millions of dollars in Turkey by seizing UN-delivered humanitarian aid shipments before later selling them on the black market. Isn't that nice? According to a 2022 report by Sputnik Arabic, the leaders of the HTS had enriched themselves by misappropriating international aid meant to help with the humanitarian crisis in Syria's rebel-controlled northern region, where the extreme poverty rate stood at 97%. Wow, dude. How shocking that a country that's been torn apart, there's all this corruption. Man, you never, no one would ever think that would happen. Yeah, no, where is Doctors Without Borders, right? Must have their hands tied. More plane crashes, y'all. We had that India air crash, a few weeks ago? And now in Russia, in the eastern part, all dead after Russian plane crashes in Far East region after the wreckage was found. Everyone who was on board a Russian passenger plane that disappeared from radar in the Far East Amur region has been killed, officials said yesterday. Svetlana Petrenko, Russia's investigative committee spokeswoman, said on Telegram that a criminal case was opened regarding the crash under the criminal code on violation of the rules of traffic and operation of air transport. All people on board the aircraft died, said Petrenko, indicating that experts have been sent to the site to provide assistance in the investigation. Amur Governor Vasily Orlov initially wrote on Telegram that there were 43 passengers, including 5 children and 6 crew members on board the Antonov AN-24 aircraft, which he said was headed from the region's administrative center, Blagoveshchensk, to the town of Tinda before it went missing. I'm going to say Tinda is a lot easier to pronounce than whatever the hell that is. That boggle word. Orlov declared 3 days of mourning in the region, which borders China's northeastern Heilongjiang province, starting Friday. This terrible tragedy took the lives of 48 people, he added. The wreckage was located later in the day, according to the Russian Emergency Situations Ministry, which said the aircraft was flying on the Khabarovsk-Blagotinda route. State news agency TASS, citing the media service of the Amur Center for Civil Defense and Fire Safety, said the wreckage was discovered on a mountainside about 10 miles from Tinda. No statement has been made on what exactly caused the crash. Condolences from world leaders are pouring into Russia. Chinese President Xi Jinping said he was shocked to learn about the crash, which caused major casualties, and extended deep condolences for the loss of lives, as well as sincere sympathies to the bereaved families. Malaysian Prime Minister Ibrahim Anwar said he was saddened to learn about the crash, and his thoughts were with the families of those affected. In times like this, we are reminded how fragile life is and how connected we all are across distance and borders, he wrote on the tweeters. Azerbaijani media published a statement by President Ilham Aliyev, who expressed condolences on behalf of himself and the people of Azerbaijan. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko expressed deep sorrow about the news, offering condolences to the victims' families, and Russian President Vladimir Putin, reported by Belta. So the Kazakh president, Egyptian president, all offering condolences and sympathies. And Trump was quoted as saying, it was heading to El Salvador and we can't get it back. Or some dumb shit that he would say about a tragedy because he's a fucking moron. Speaking of Russia and the progress that's going on between them as far as trying to gain peace, well, that's little progress after third round of Russia-Ukraine talks in Istanbul, not Constantinople. Third round of Turkish-hosted negotiations between Moscow and Kiev. I'm not calling it Kyiv. That's so stupid. Concluded on July 23rd with a Russian presidential aide and top negotiator outlining terms for a potential meeting between Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky. Russian negotiator Vladimir Medinsky said on Wednesday that Putin can only meet Zelensky once a peace deal is complete and ready to be signed. The meeting must be properly prepared, and only then will it make sense. We have conveyed this position to the Ukrainian delegation. For such a meeting to take place, we must first agree on the terms of the deal and have a clear understanding of the agenda. In essence, the meeting should serve not to negotiate the agreement, but to sign it, Medinsky said. There's no point in meeting only to begin negotiations from square one, he added. Medinsky renewed the call for a 24 to 48-hour cessation in hostilities aimed at retrieving bodies. Kiev has called for a much longer ceasefire. Russian and Ukrainian officials made some headway on a prisoner swap deal on Wednesday during talks in Istanbul, not Constantinople, but did not make significant further progress. In the near future, an exchange of at least 1,200 more prisoners of war from each side will be carried out, Medinsky went on to say. We have progress on the humanitarian track with no progress on a cessation of hostilities, said Ukraine's defense minister and chief delegate Rustem Umerov on July 23rd, which was Wednesday, after talks that reportedly only lasted about 40 minutes to an hour. Umerov had previously suggested that Putin and Zelensky meet next month to break the stalemate in negotiations. Despite the ceasefire talks, Russia and Ukraine have continued to target each other with drones, because there's no ceasefire. One person was killed and another injured just hours after the negotiations when a Ukrainian drone attack targeted an oil depot in Russia's Krasnodar Krai region. Tensions have recently surged due to a recent announcement by Trumpy that Washington will be sending massive supplies of weapons to Ukraine in what he described as a significant policy shift. More like a bowel movement. He also issued a 50-day deadline for a deal to be made, after which he would impose 100% tariffs on Russia. Why ain't he doing it now? Him and these fucking tariffs. The U.S. and Russia held talks in Saudi Arabia in March this year, agreeing to establish a path to ending the conflict. Since then, however, Ukraine has stepped up attacks on Russia. In early June, Ukrainian drones struck dozens of Russian fighter jets in Siberia. Ukraine and the U.S. are engaged in detailed negotiations over a landmark agreement involving U.S. investment in Ukraine's domestic drone manufacturing industry. Ukrainian Prime Minister Yulia, that name, announced on July 18th. Svridenko? Let's call it Pete. While Turkey now serves as a mediator in the Russia-Ukraine war, it has previously supplied Kiev with its Bayraktar drones. Oh, yeah, don't look for peace anytime soon there. Where are we at here? How's everybody doing? Let me check in with you guys. You doing all right? On Schwip? Or Schwip? Everybody good? Nice and depressed from this fucking shit? I know, me too. Does wonders. Does wonders for my positive attitude. So we told you maybe on Tuesday or the other day or whenever it was that Zelensky was screwing around with the anti-corruption elements in his country. Well, he got some shit for it. Now, well, look at this. Zelensky approves new bill restoring independence of anti-corruption bodies after protests. They probably threatened to take away his cocaine. Zelensky approved draft legislation yesterday that he said would restore the independence of the country's anti-corruption agencies, reversing course after an outburst of public criticism and pure stupidity. Measures enacted earlier this week that established greater control by the prosecutor general, a political appointee, over the two bodies had fueled rare wartime protests and had thrown Kiev's EU bid into question. Zelensky said on the tweeters he had approved the draft for submission to Parliament later in the day. It's important that we are maintaining unity. It is important that we are preserving independence. It is important that we respect the position of all Ukrainians. It is important that I get cocaine, he said. He didn't say that last part, but he probably did to himself. Zelensky, whose image as a tireless leader of the 3-year-old war, tireless leader. He ain't tireless. He's on coke all the time. He's not tired. Against Russia's invasion has been tarnished by the controversy, said the text of the new bill is well balanced. He did not give further details, saying only that it guarantees real strengthening of Ukraine's law enforcement system, independence of anti-corruption agencies, and reliable protection against any Russian influence. On Monday, security forces arrested 2 anti-corruption officials on suspicion of ties to Russia and launched sweeping searches of other employees. Critics had decried the measures, putting a Zelensky-appointed prosecutor in control over the anti-corruption agency, saying they went too far and looked like political pressure against the agencies. Opposition lawmakers had collected enough signatures to register their own legislation to revoke the restrictive measures, which had been fast-tracked with help from Zelensky's ruling party. And remember, he's a dictator. He was elected and his term is up. But he's not allowing elections. It was not immediately clear how soon Parliament, which was meant to start its summer holiday this week, would consider either bill. The European officials expressed strong criticism over changes curbing the authority of the anti-corruption bodies, and on Thursday welcomed an earlier pledge by Zelensky to retain their independence. So he basically said, nah, no independence, and then the people said, well, screw you too. And then he said, all right, fuck it. Damn it. There's been all kinds of significant clashes between countries all over the world. You know, obviously, Ukraine and Russia, Israel and Gaza, which is more of a genocide than it is a clash. India and Pakistan, and now a new nice brewing war going on in the world. Guess what? It's from our old buddies in Cambodia and Thailand, as border clashes between the two leave 12 dead. At least 12 people have been killed and 35 others wounded amid renewed armed clashes between Thai and Cambodian forces in the contested Emerald Triangle, a volatile region where the borders of Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos intersect. Welcome back, Steve. The violent escalation unfolded near a disputed border temple, a long-standing flashpoint, mere hours after Phnom Penh expelled the Thai ambassador and recalled its own envoy. Bangkok, Oriental city where the city don't know what the city is getting. The creme de la creme of the chessboard. I don't know. Sorry, channeling Murray Head. Bangkok swiftly responded by ordering the expulsion of Cambodia's ambassador and withdrawing its diplomat from Cambodia. According to Thai military officials, Cambodian forces initiated the conflict early Thursday, launching rockets and artillery fire into the Thai territory. In retaliation, Thailand deployed 6 fighter jets targeting what it described as Cambodian military positions. I'm sorry, what do you miss? Yeah, let me just start over. It's called Rewind. No, you're fine. Deputy military spokesperson Rikta Suksuanan confirmed that the strikes hit 2 Cambodian sites and claimed that fighting continued across 6 zones involving ground forces and armored units. The Thai military accused Cambodian troops of carrying out a deliberate assault on civilians, alleging that the 2 MB-21 rockets landed in Surin province, injuring at least 3 people. While Cambodian officials have yet to confirm casualties, the country's military Ministry of Defense stated that its military actions were purely defensive in response to what it called an armed Thai incursion. A place was hit in Thailand. A home was hit in Thailand. It was called Pad Thai. It's a Pad Thai. Sorry. That was inappropriate. In a dramatic move, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet called for an urgent UN Security Council session condemning Thailand's operations as unprovoked military aggression. The border conflict comes amid a deepening political crisis in Thailand. Wow, go figure. Where Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra remains suspended due to an ongoing ethics investigation, of course. Reports have revealed that the embattled premier referred to Hun Sen, Cambodia's former leader and father of the current prime minister, as uncle during a private phone conversation, raising questions about informal diplomacy and the Thai army's role in governance. Okay. Thailand has since imposed strict border controls, allowing only limited crossings for humanitarian cases such as medical patients and students. On Thursday, Bangkok ordered a complete closure of all border points with Cambodia. In response, Cambodia imposed a set of retaliatory measures, including bans on the Thai media, halt imports of Thai fuel, produce, and vegetables, and curbing electricity and internet access provided by Thailand. Kitty! Kitty! What's up, bud? You've shown your true self. The crisis marks a renewed flare-up in a territorial dispute dating back to colonial era agreements. In 1962, the International Court of Justice ruled in favor of Cambodia, granting it sovereignty over the Preah Vihear temple area. Despite the ruling, the region has witnessed recurring clashes, most notably in 2011 when over 20 people were killed and thousands displaced. In 2013, the ICJ reaffirmed its decision after Cambodia sought clarification following renewed violence. The demarcation of the Thai-Cambodian border is based on the 1907 Franco-Siamese Treaty signed during the colonial era, yet ambiguities remain, particularly around strategic and symbolic sites like Preah Vihear. So now Cambodia and Thailand mixing it up. But apparently they are talking about a ceasefire or a truce or something like that right now. So we'll probably have more information on that next week as those, we'll see how it goes. But I thought I took this out. I guess I didn't. So Thailand favors direct talks to end the conflict rather than mediation. So they don't want an arbitrator in this. They want to do it themselves. Thailand favors bilateral negotiations rather than third-party mediation to resolve its military conflict with Cambodia, two Thai officials said today, as fighting along their disputed border continued unabated. Simmering border tensions between Thailand and Cambodia have flared into open hostilities, as we told you, at multiple locations along the front line, and the heaviest fighting between the Southeast Asian neighbors in over a decade. They were exchanges of artillery for a second straight day on Friday. The U.S., China, and Malaysia, which is the current chair of the ASEAN, A-S-E-A-N, regional bloc, have offered to facilitate dialogue, but Bangkok is seeking a bilateral solution to the conflict. Thai Foreign Ministry spokesperson Nikorndej Balankura told Reuters. I don't think we need any mediation from a third country yet, he said in an interview. Probably ever. Just do it yourself. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, the chair of ASEAN, of which both Thailand and Cambodia are members, said on Thursday he had spoken to both countries' leaders and urged them to find a peaceful resolution. We appreciate the offer and we don't want to rule out having a third country to help, but right now we believe that bilateral mechanisms have not been exhausted. Thai Vice Minister for Foreign Affairs Russ Jalachandra told reporters, Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet said in a social media post late Friday that both Thailand and Cambodia had initially agreed to a ceasefire proposal from Anwar a day earlier, but Thailand later reversed its decision. The Thai government did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Hun Manet's remarks. The two countries accuse each other of starting the conflict early on Thursday along a border where sovereignty has been disputed for more than a century. We stand by our position that bilateral mechanism is the best way out. This is a confrontation between the two countries, Nikorndej said, adding that the Cambodian side must stop violence along the border first. Our doors are still open. On Thursday, Hun Manet asked the UN Security Council to address the fighting, and we told you about that. The body said would hold a closed-door meeting to discuss the issue today. The fighting broke out a day after Thailand recalled its ambassador to Phnom Penh and expelled Cambodia's envoy in response to landmine explosions that injured Thai soldiers. Bangkok has alleged those were recently laid, which Phnom Penh rejected. I was saying Phnom. I think it's Nam. I think that's silent. I'm not big on Cambodian or Thai languages. Anyway, so maybe cooler heads will prevail there. We hope so. The last thing we need is yet another country or countries going at it. Finally, today, a little, I don't know. I remember when this happened back in 2006. I think I was still in Mississippi at the time. I was in LA when this happened. But the Mumbai train blast that killed like almost 200 people. Well, the 2006 Mumbai train blast, as the Indian court overturns conviction of all 12 accused. Yeah, it blew the hell out of these trains. Almost 20 years after the 2006 Mumbai train blast that left 189 dead and over 800 injured, the Bombay High Court has overturned the convictions of all 12 people previously found guilty by a lower court. In 2015, a trial court had convicted the 12 accused, handing death sentences to 5 and life imprisonment to the other 7, reported NDTV. However, overturning that verdict, the High Court bench comprising Justice Anil Kilor and Justice Shyam Shandak ruled that the prosecution had completely failed to establish the case against the accused. The prosecution has utterly failed to prove the case against the accused. It is hard to believe that the accused committed the crime, hence their conviction is quashed and set aside, the bench said. The court said the accused shall be released from jail if they are not wanted in any other case. The Bombay High Court noted that the 12 men convicted in the 2006 Mumbai train bombings were given the benefit of the doubt because the prosecution failed to establish their guilt beyond reasonable doubt. The court raised concerns about the reliability of witness testimonies, observing that it was unreasonable to expect accurate identification of suspects more than 100 days after the attacks. The judges also questioned the relevance of the explosives, weapons, and maps recovered during the investigation, stating they did not appear to be connected to the blasts. Furthermore, the prosecution was unable to conclusively determine the type of bombs used in the explosions. On July 11, 2006, 7 coordinated blasts tore through Mumbai suburban trains over an 11-minute span during the evening rush hour. The explosions caused by pressure cooker bombs placed in first-class compartments of trains departing from Churchgate occurred near Mantuga Road, Mahim Junction, Bandra, Car Road, Jogeshwari, Bayandar, and Borivali stations. The attacks left 189 dead and over 800 injured. In 2015, a special Maharashtra Control of Organized Crime Act, the MCOCA, that's easier to say, court found 12 people guilty: Faisal Sheikh, Asif Khan, Kamal Ansari, Etesham Siddiqui, and Naveed Khan were sentenced to death. The remaining 7, Muhammad Sajid Ansari, Muhammad Ali, not Muhammad Ali, he's dead, Dr. Tanvir Ansari, Majid Shafi, Muzamil Sheikh, Sohail Sheikh, and Zamar Sheikh, the Sheikh people, Shake Shack, were handed life sentences for their alleged involvement in the conspiracy. All 12 have now been acquitted and will be released following the High Court's ruling, which found that the evidence did not support convictions for murder, conspiracy, or waging war against the nation. So that's your news block there. Wow. I don't know how legit that is in Mumbai or not, but I know those people got to be happy that, well, at least half of them ain't going to be dead, and the other half ain't going to be in prison. So coming up here is our propaganda watch, and they're talking just as I don't know if this is ridiculous or not, but it just seems like two shitty people going after each other. Is Obama, you remember that guy, used to be a president here, is under fire for bullshit about Russiagate. Uh-oh, I wonder what that's about.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
All right, Obama faces death threats, prison calls after Trump treason accusation. Don't think I'm going to prison. Think I'm just going to stay out here and do my thing. Let me drink this water. Former shithead, current shithead, Barack Obama has received online death threats and calls for imprisonment after incumbent U.S. president and game show host and a guy who's probably going to die of skin cancer, Donald Trump, and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard accused him of treason related to alleged Russian influence in the past presidential elections. Yes, we're digging up Russiagate. We're digging it up like a dead corpse. According to a report by the Global Project Against Hate and Extremism, that's Japan. Online comments calling for Obama's imprisonment or execution surged between July 17th and the 20th after Trump administration claimed that key information about Russia's alleged involvement in the 2016 election was manipulated and withheld, an accusation Obama has denied. Speaking to reporters at the White House, Gabbard stated the evidence that we have found and that we have related or have released directly points to Obama leading the manufacturing of this intelligence assessment from January 2017. There are multiple pieces of evidence and intelligence that confirms that fact. The president believes that this matter needs to be thoroughly investigated and anyone convicted of a crime should be held accountable in this country, White House spokesperson Carolyn Leavitt said after a photo shoot for Cabbage Patch Dolls. The remarks followed the release of more than 100 pages of declassified documents, which, according to Gabbard, exposes internal coordination among senior Obama-era officials to selectively construct a narrative around Russian meddling. She claimed intelligence agencies were pressured to shift their assessments with particular reliance on the now discredited Steele dossier to frame the Trump campaign as complicit in foreign interference. Trumpy posted an AI-generated video showing Obama being arrested and imprisoned. Following this, between July 17th and the 20th, researchers noted a spike in targeted comments against Obama across platforms like Truth Social, Gab, and Telegram. On Truth Social, that's Trumpy's little place, comments labeling Obama as a traitor deserving prison or death rose from 3 to 36%, or a 1,100% increase. On Gab, such comments jumped from 9 to 48, a 443% increase, while Telegram saw a rise from 0 to 12. Capay told Newsweek that its research continues to show a spike in online bigoted and violent rhetoric whenever the president targets people with his online posts. The combination of Director Gabbard's and President Trump's conspiracy-laden and racist posts not only inflamed extremists, but further normalized language and ideas that are completely unacceptable in a thriving democracy. We as a nation cannot contribute to this normalization by staying silent. And I'm all for one that says that Obama needs to go to jail, but he needs to go to jail just like the other presidents do. Why? For war crimes. Of course, silly. Blowing up civilians. Yeah, and why cricket's about Hillary? Why? Yeah. The Clintons are much more powerful than the Obamas. Let's just keep it real. I'm not saying popular. I'm saying powerful. All right, because they've been in the game a long time, and Obama not so much. Meanwhile, Columbia University says, you know what? Let's take my balls away from me, please. Columbia agrees to pay $200 million in deal with Trump. Columbia University, funny enough, Stephen Colbert, a graduate of Columbia University, the School of Broadcasting there, recently got his show canceled because he said that Paramount was stupid for going after for paying Trump. And now Columbia said, no, fuck, we're just going to pay him. So they've agreed to pay $200 million fine and make other significant concessions to the Trump administration in a deal to restore federal grants canceled earlier this year as part of the president's assault on institutions of higher learning. Let me, this is a little small. Let's see if we can get that in there. All right. Under the terms of the settlement, which was released Wednesday, Columbia agreed to conduct a thorough review of its educational programs in regional areas across the university, starting with the Middle East, bowing to the Trump administration's interference in curriculum-related decisions. Columbia, and there are a bunch of shit libs at Columbia, too. Of course, they were going to fold like a cheap suit. Columbia also pledged to undertake a comprehensive review of its international admissions processes and ensure that international student applicants are asked questions to elicit their reasons for wishing to study in the United States. I wonder what questions they're going to ask. As the Trump administration, under the guise of combating anti-Semitism, let's put that in a bunch of quotes, targets international students who have taken part in Palestinian rights demonstration. Earlier this week, Columbia suspended or expelled dozens of students over Gaza-related protests. This is from Kevin Carey over on I guess that's on Blue Sky. Columbia University has handed over its undergraduates admissions process to Trump and his MAGA allies, who will now decide at their sole discretion whether the university has admitted enough white people. It's no longer an independent institution. That's them saying it, not me. Columbia's deal with the federal government sparked immediate furious backlash, with critics condemning the university's leaders as cowards who are bowing down to authoritarianism. That's exactly what they are. Representative Jerry Nadler, a Democrat out of New York, whose district includes Columbia, said he was deeply disappointed to learn of the university's outrageous and embarrassing $200 million capitulation to the Trump administration's repugnant extortion campaign. But beating the hell out of protesters, A-OK. In response to the Trump administration's claim that the university was violating federal law by failing to protect its Jewish students, Nadler stressed that no investigation was ever conducted by the Department of Education's Office of Civil Rights, the single body charged under federal law with investigating anti-Semitism on campus. Columbia did not admit to wrongdoing as part of the agreement. Rather, unlike Harvard, my alma mater has allowed a once highly respected institution to succumb to the Trump administration's coercive and exploitative tactics, Nadler said in a statement. Columbia has effectively waved the white flag of surrender in its battle at the heart of the Trump administration's war on higher education and academic freedom. The Columbia Daily Spectator, the university's student newspaper, reported that under its settlement with the Trump administration, the university agreed to reveal the admissions data of both rejected and admitted students, including their race, GPA, and standardized test performance to the federal government, their race. As part of the deal, the federal government will not institute any civil action against the university and will resume canceled National Institutes of Health and Human Services funding, but does not restore grants from the Department of Education, the Spectator observed. The university is required to comply with the Title IV to maintain the terms of the deal. Title IV. That's Title VI. Sorry, my Latin, my numbers are screwed up. If you put the bigger one in front of the smaller one, then it's 6. But if you put I in front of E, then it's 4. That makes it 3. If you didn't know it. Jacob Schreiner-Briggs, visiting assistant professor at the Chicago Kent College of Law, wrote on social media that the deal represents a vicious blow to the academic freedom of university employees and students alike, and accused Columbia of taking its lead from the government as to what questions it will ask international applicants and which long-standing traditions it will ensure all of its students are committed to. Long-standing traditions. This capitulation is indefensible, wrote Schreiner-Briggs. And I hope the natural response to this is people stop going to Columbia University. For one thing, it was expensive as fuck anyway for the longest time. And what are you going to do? You're going to become a shitty liberal broadcaster that's just going to go straight into the mainstream media? Fuck that. Columbia University's broadcasting school is nothing but liberal bullshit. Plain and simple. Fuck them. Fuck Columbia. I'm not a Harvard fan either, but at least they're not bowing down. At least not yet. We'll see. So Egypt, like Jordan, are pretty much cucks to Israel, right? So this is from Middle East Eye. Egypt presidency forced Al-Azhar to delete statement condemning Israel's starvation of Gaza. Why? Why would you do that? Egypt's presidency pressured Ahmed Al-Tayeb, the Grand Imam of Al-Azhar, the world's foremost Islamic institution, to withdraw a statement condemning Israel's genocidal starvation of Gaza, sources told Middle East Eye. The Cairo-based Al-Azhar said on Wednesday that it had deleted a strongly worded call to action over the starvation of Palestinians in Gaza, citing its potential impact on ceasefire negotiations. In a statement, the institution said it took the initiative to withdraw its statement with courage and responsibility before God when it realized that this statement could impact the ongoing negotiations regarding a humanitarian truce in Gaza to save innocent lives. Well, speaking the truth is going to fuck up a ceasefire? Come on. Al-Azhar has prioritized the interest of preventing the daily bloodshed in Gaza, hoping that the negotiations will lead to an immediate halt to the bloodshed and provide the most basic necessities of life, of which the oppressed Palestinian people have been deprived, the statement says. But two sources close to Al-Azhar and the Egyptian presidency confirmed to Middle East Eye that the statement was removed shortly after it was published on Tuesday following a request from President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi's office. Yay! The sources spoke on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak to the press. The reason for the withdrawal was that the statement referred to the complicity of third states in what Al-Azhar described as fully fledged genocide in Gaza. Al-Azhar strongly affirms that the deliberate and lethal starvation imposed by this abhorrent occupation upon the peaceful people of Gaza, people desperately seeking mere crumbs of bread or a cup of water while simultaneously targeting shelters for displaced persons and humanitarian aid distribution centers with live ammunition, constitutes a fully fledged crime of genocide, the deleted statement said. Moreover, anyone who supplies this entity with weapons or who emboldens it through complicit resolutions or hypocritical words is a partner in this act of genocide. Yes, 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 yes. That's it. Yeah, you're complicit. If you're giving them weapons to kill people, yes, you're fucking complicit. They shall be held account by the just judge, the almighty avenger, and on the day when neither wealth nor children shall be of benefit. Neither wealth nor children. That's a weird thing to say. Al-Azhar declares before God its absolute disavowal of the world's shameful and suspicious silence of the international community's disgraceful failure to stand by this defenseless people, and of any call for the displacement of the people of Gaza from their land, the statement continued. Egypt is a key mediator between Israel and Hamas, and the government has often tried to tamp down frustrations within the country over its role, in which critics described as maintaining the siege on Gaza, given it shares the Rafah crossing with the enclave. Al-Azhar has rarely issued statements on Israel and has been particularly measured since Israel launched its onslaught on the enclave. Ali al-Qaradaghi, the head of the International Union of Muslim Scholars, denounced the deletion of the statement as unjustified. Why are voices being silenced? He wrote on the tweeters. The deletion of Al-Azhar's statement, which cried out to consciences to save Gaza, is an unjustified act and a desperate attempt to suppress the voice of human and religious conscience in a time of silence and complicity. The move comes as activists in the Netherlands chained shut the gates of the Egyptian embassy in protest at the country's closure of its border with Gaza. Egyptian activist Anas Habib filmed himself going to the embassy building in The Hague on Monday, denouncing the vile, treacherous regime of Sisi. Israel's siege on Gaza since March 2nd. Let's get this thing to work. Has blocked the entry of humanitarian supplies by the UN and its partner organizations to the enclave, bringing the 2.1 million population to the brink of famine. At least 115 Palestinians, including 80 children, have died of starvation since March, including 15 who died of malnutrition on Monday, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. And this is what the statement says. This is the full statement. It's pretty long if you want to read the full statement. But we basically gave you the gist of it down here. The links will be in the description in the Google Doc after the show. So hopefully, if you're able, I hope that's more convenient, because it's I run this show on YouTube and on Rumble and on Facebook, and so I usually have the same description in all the descriptions on the videos, but I put that Google Docs link in there, and I know Google, I know, but until I find something better, it'll have to do. But and it has a list of all the the stories that we run in the show today and the links to them. So if you want to read the full thing, that'll be available for you right after the show. I promise. We knew this, but now IDF soldiers are starting to say it themselves. Yes, they bragged about it on social media with their phones and stuff like that, but some of these are actually admitting what they're doing. An Israeli soldier says we use children as human shields in Gaza. So, and that's not surprising. What's surprising is the fact that he actually admitted it. Fresh testimony from an Israeli soldier has revealed that troops were implicated in war crimes in Gaza, including the targeting of civilians with live fire and the use of children as human shields. The soldier, referred to anonymously as N, told the Israeli newspaper Yedioth Ahronoth that the commander of his unit had allowed troops to fire on civilians, including children and the elderly, for days while stationed outside a hospital. Some of them acted out of revenge, some were scared, and some were simply exhausted. When you're exhausted, you don't think. Yeah, well, when you're exhausted, you don't fucking murder people either, stupid. The soldier also recalled how his unit abducted 2 teenagers from one of Gaza's so-called humanitarian corridors and used them as human shields. And you've seen the video, too. They're strapping people to the fronts of vehicles like they were cattle, or they just killed a deer or something. He described how they were blindfolded, handcuffed, and forced to enter buildings Israeli forces believe may be booby-trapped or contain gunmen. The use of civilians as human shields is illegal under international law. What is really happening is that we are harming tens of thousands of civilians, murdering them, and also the Israeli hostages, Yedioth Ahronoth quoted him as saying. The government puts you in danger. Your friends are killed, and you do more evil than good. You feel that you are being betrayed. I'm pretty sure that Gaza, the people, Palestinians, feel like they've been betrayed too. The article is the latest in a growing number of reports from Israel featuring testimony from soldiers speaking out about war crimes and being committed against Palestinians, war crimes being committed against Palestinians in Gaza. Haaretz has published a number of investigations in recent months providing evidence of atrocities carried by Israeli forces. An expose in June featured claims from soldiers that they had been ordered to deliberately fire at civilians. Last year, it reported on the military's use of Palestinians as human shields to search for explosive devices. Leaked footage published by Al Jazeera last year showed Israeli soldiers forcing a semi-naked Palestinian man to search for explosives while his hands were tied behind his back. There are hundreds of other eyewitness testimonies of Palestinians being used as human shields by Israeli forces, including those documented by Israeli human rights monitor B'Tselem. Yeah. So they're starting to admit it, and a lot of these are the people who had said, no, I'm not going to participate in this. So the very, 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 very few who have seen through the propaganda and are just like, no, I don't want any part of this now. And that's why Israel is going to crumble sooner or later, because evil doesn't, I know this is going to sound like biblical shit, but evil doesn't have a base. It doesn't have a concrete base to build upon, right? Evil is always built upon evil shit, which is, can change at any time, right? They're hoping that people stay silent. They're hoping people stay stupid, and they're hoping people will stay scared, so no one will talk about this. But the Streisand effect, folks, now everybody's talking about it, and they're shouting it loud, and it's not anti-Semitism. You just want to stop the killing of innocent people and give them back their fucking land. Global news agencies voice concern over journalists' safety in Gaza. Not just bullets. Global news agencies, including AFP, AP, Reuters, and BBC, yesterday voiced concerns over the safety of their journalists in Gaza, urging Israel to ensure their safe entry and exit. Yeah, good luck. Anadolu reports. In a joint statement released on social media, the media outlet said, "We are desperately concerned for our journalists in Gaza who are increasingly unable to feed themselves and their families for many months. These independent journalists have been the world's eyes and ears on the ground in Gaza. They are now facing the same dire circumstances as those they are covering." The media outlets also said they were deeply alarmed by the starvation threat facing journalists. Well, there's no food coming in, so where are they getting the food? We once again urge the Israeli authorities to allow journalists in and out of Gaza. It's essential that the adequate food supplies reach the people there. Israel, as we said, has killed thousands and thousands of people. And then the ICC and the ICJ did arrest warrants for him, for Bibi and Yoav Gallant. Yeah, so it used to, when you had the press on there, you were almost guaranteed you were going to be cool. And now it just seems like that's just a bullseye, right? So this happened on a Spanish airline. The Spanish airline denies reports that passengers were removed from a plane because they are Jewish. What? What is this? Israeli news outlets reported that the students are Jewish and their removal was religiously motivated. That's what the thing is. So a group of passengers engaged in highly disruptive behavior, putting at risk the safe conduct of the flight, Vueling said. The Vueling is the name of the airline here out of Spain. Okay. So several dozen French passengers were removed from a flight leaving the Spanish city of Valencia for Paris for what Spanish police and the airline on Thursday described as unruly behavior. The carrier, Vueling, denied reports that Wednesday's incident, which involved the removal of 44 minors and 8 adults from flight V8166, was related to the passengers' religion. Some Israeli news outlets reported that the students are Jewish and that their removal was religiously motivated, a claim that was repeated by an Israeli minister online. Of course, that's how propaganda works. Spain's civil guard said the minors and adults are French nationals. A civil guard spokesperson said the agents involved were not aware of the group's religious affiliation. The Vueling spokesperson said the passengers were removed after the minors repeatedly tampered with the plane's emergency equipment and interrupted the crew's safety documentation. Apparently, they haven't heard about all these fucking plane crashes that's been happening. A group of passengers engaged in highly disruptive behavior and adopted a very confrontational attitude, putting at risk the safe conduct of the flight, Vueling said in a statement. "We categorically deny any suggestion that our crew's behavior related to the religion of the passengers involved." A civil guard spokesperson said the captain of the plane ordered the removal of the minors from the plane at Valencia's Menezes airport after they repeatedly ignored the crew's instructions. On Thursday, the Federation for Jewish Communities of Spain expressed concern about the incident. The group said that Vueling needed to provide documentary evidence of what happened on the plane. But the kids don't. The various accounts circulating on social media and in the media to which we have had access do not clarify the cause of the incident, the organization said. We are particularly interested in clarifying whether there were any possible religiously discriminatory motives toward the minors, the group said. The civil guard said 23 minors and 2 adults from the group boarded a flight belonging to another airline, while the rest spent Wednesday night at a hotel. The spokesperson said arrangements were being made for them to leave Valencia later Thursday. And don't fuck around on planes. What the hell? Where'd that come from? I hit the wrong fucking button. Oops. They said more coffee, bitch. So I don't know. I mean, was it religiously motivated? It would really depend on who the person was too, right? But the captain said, you know, they were messing with like emergency equipment and stuff. Like, don't do that shit. I don't care who it is. And they were singing some Hebrew song too, I think. I don't know. I hear a foreign language. I don't know what fucking language it is unless it's like, you know, Spanish or something like that. I mean, I know that, but you start saying like, you know, speaking in other languages, I'm like, I don't know this. I mean, that could be. I mean, and maybe they were anti-Semitic, but I doubt it. I mean, these people want to make money. And if you got money, they'll take your money, whether you're a Jew or not. So the fact, I would say that the pilot was probably nervous because of all these plane crashes that's been happening recently, and people fucking around with emergency equipment is one sure way to possibly crash a plane. So, and I'm pretty sure the pilot was like, okay, let's not have that. All right. I know some of you, this is for some of you people across the pond here who might know who James O'Brien is. So James O'Brien apologizes over anti-Semitic text on a radio show. There he is right there. He kind of looks like my cousin. If he had red hair, he'd be like... Broadcaster James O'Brien has apologized after reading out a message on his radio show that was slammed as anti-Semitic by Jewish groups. O'Brien said on Wednesday during his LBC show that he was sorry for reading a text the previous day that claimed that a Jewish school in Hertfordshire taught that one Jewish life is worth thousands of Arab lives, and that Arabs are cockroaches to be crushed. At this time yesterday on the show, I read out a message from a listener called Chris, who said that his wife had been brought up in the Jewish faith and had attended what he described as a Shabbat school. He said, adding that he went on to make further claims about what he said she had been taught in that school. As with all the texts and messages that I read out on the programmy, because it's, you know, European, they about to stick the M-E on the end. I did so in good faith, but the message has understandably upset a lot of people, and I regret taking those unsubstantiated claims at face value, and I'm genuinely sorry for that. In other words, don't cancel me, bro. The reading of the text on air was slammed by Jewish organizations and prompted complaints to the UK regulator Ofcom, which told the Mail Online that it was assessing the incident. On Tuesday, the Board of Deputies of British Jews called for O'Brien to be taken off air, saying broadcasting such a transparent falsehood and demonizing the British Jewish community at a time when anti-Semitism in this country is at terrifying levels must have clear consequences. Terrifying levels. The Mail Online quoted the Campaign Against Anti-Semitism, which said the incident was a modern blood libel on national radio. Jesus. Amplified by a host who likely wouldn't think twice about cutting off the statement were it promoting such grotesque falsehoods about another minority. However, all these organizations have used similar smears against legitimate criticisms of Israel's war on Gaza, and O'Brien has been a strong but fair voice of opposition to Israeli policy against the Palestinian territory. O'Brien had been talking about the dehumanization as an enabler for war crimes in the context of Israel's war on Gaza during the show, with the text being read as an example for the discussion alongside a poll from Israeli Daily Haaretz that detailed support in Israel for the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians in Gaza. Israel's war on Gaza has prompted severe backlash in the UK, in particular over the mass starvation of Palestinians currently underway, which has been criticized by international aid agencies as well as public figures in the UK. So this guy had to apologize because he told the truth. And he said, "Oh, well, you know, I was just reading shit. Anyway, where are we at here? So this, I'm not quite sure. Hang on just a second here. I want to check out something real quick. I don't know if I want to do this one yet or not. Let's see what it's, let's see. How's everybody doing today? You doing okay? Okay, good. Here we go. I had to update my story. We're doing it live. So apparently the Handala had lost communications as of yesterday, which is the aid ship that's heading to Gaza. Let me tell you about that. So aid ship Handala restores communications, continues Gaza mission. So that's good. And there's the crew right there. There's the album cover. A little too close there, lady. I know you're taking the picture, but get you a selfie stick next time, all right? See, this guy's, he knows what's up. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition announced that communications with the Handala, a humanitarian aid vessel en route to the Gaza Strip, were restored after a 2-hour interruption. During this period, drones were spotted near the vessel, triggering concerns about a possible interception or attack. You're probably jamming their signals. The coalition, which is coordinating the flotilla mission, stated via telegram that the ship is now less than 345 nautical miles, probably closer than that as of this writing, from Gaza, and continues its journey despite recent threats. For about 2 hours, our Freedom Flotilla boats' communications were interrupted and drones were observed near the boat, raising serious concerns of a potential attack, the FFC has said. And they do have reason to be fearful of that, because one of these flotillas has been attacked in the past. The blackout came shortly after the coalition warned that contact had been lost, with suspicions of electronic jamming and interference by Israel. Activists on board maintained a state of alert as unmanned aerial vehicles remained in the vicinity of the ship. All communications with the Handala's crew have been jammed. An earlier statement read, the FFC emphasized that this incident echoed past threats, including the targeting of previous aid vessels. Activist Tan Safi, speaking in a video released after the blackout, noted that the crew was unaware of a widespread outage affecting Elon Musk's Starlink satellite internet system. So apparently they're using Starlink. Some experts are investigating it and said this was unusual. Safi said, it's not the first time Elon has worked with Israel, but this was most likely a global disruption, which it was. Starlink confirmed, especially in Ukraine, Starlink confirmed a temporary global connectivity issue, which was resolved for a couple hours, within a couple hours. Israel has a history of blocking Freedom Flotillas from reaching Gaza. In May, a drone attack targeted the MV Conscience near Malta. In June, the ship Madeleine was intercepted by Israel naval forces, who detained 12 activists on board. The Handala, which departed from Gallipoli, Italy, is carrying 21 people, including 6 Americans. American actor and activist Jacob Berger on board the ship previously stated that the aim of the flotilla is to break the Israeli blockade and inspire similar efforts from other countries. The success of this mission would motivate others to stand up for the Palestinian people, Berger told Al Mayadeen. The FFC has reported attempts to sabotage the mission before departure and stressed that despite threats, the morale among crew members remains high. The Handala continues its voyage under surveillance and threats, carrying hope and essential aid to the besieged people of Gaza. And so there's a couple of the posts here. You can check those out yourself. I mean, I understand the effort of sending these flotillas there. It's more symbolic than it is anything else, because obviously there's not enough aid on these boats to help these people for real. But we'll see. I mean, if these people continue to send these flotillas to Gaza, maybe some others will actually join them, and maybe an actual thing might come out of it that actually helps the people of Gaza. I hope so. I'm not shitting on these flotilla people. I'm just saying, I just hope something more comes out of it. What are we doing here? Okay. All right. And finally, some weird news out of Iraq. Iraq issues first life sentence under anti-normalization law with Israel. Iraq has handed down its first life sentence under a law that criminalizes normalization with Israel, the judiciary announced on Wednesday. That's the government. The criminal court in Baghdad sentenced a man to life imprisonment for promoting the Zionist entity on social media. According to the Supreme Judicial Council, the defendant published photos and videos on Facebook supporting normalization with Israel. Authorities also found Hebrew language books and newspapers in his home. The ruling was issued under Article 7 of the Anti-Normalization Law Number 1 of 2022. Iraq's parliament unanimously passed the law in mid-2022, making it illegal to establish any political, economic, cultural, or media ties with Israel. The legislation, the first of its kind in the country, reaffirms Iraq's constitutional position of being in a state of war with Israel and imposes several severe penalties, including life imprisonment or the death penalty for any cooperation with the occupation. Legal expert Salam Hawass al-Saadi told the New Arabic edition on Al-Arabi al-Jadid that this case marks the first application of the law since its enactment. He said the legislation is clear and binding, prohibiting any form of contact or cooperation with the Zionist entity. Notice they're not calling them Israel. No, fuck you. Whether political, economic, cultural, or even indirect, any attempt at normalization, even by an individual, is considered a crime under the law. Al-Saadi added that the law does not target freedom of expression, but aims to block any efforts to legitimize or pave the way for normalization, reflecting Iraq's national consensus, rejecting the occupation and its actions against the Palestinian people. The anti-normalization law also bans any dealings with companies or institutions linked to Israel or providing it with support. It defines any move that materially or morally benefits the occupation as high treason, punishable by life imprisonment or execution under Iraq's amended Penal Code number 111 of 1969. So Iraq said, fuck your allegiance to Israel. We ain't having it either. So I know it seems like things are shitty, right? Like no one's paying attention or whatever to what's going on in Gaza, but people are. It's just going really slow, right? And all this always goes slow until it goes really fast, right? And is chatbot censoring us? What are you talking about? Your posts are on there. I don't know what you're talking about. So we just have to just keep pushing this information, and we got to push it to our normie friends too, outside the bubble. All right, outside of this space. I know there's a lot of people who love preaching to the choir in this space, but we got to stop doing that. All right, we got to start talking to people that we're not used to talking to about this kind of stuff. Some people we're not very comfortable talking to this about. But people have been so propagandized in this country that we have to, as friends and relatives and loved ones of people, we owe it to them to give them the truth, even if it causes fractures in your relationships because of it. And if that's going to cause a fracture in your relationship, what kind of relationship was it in the first place, right? Or you just chalk it up to people just being lied to all their whole lives, and that's all they're used to, and they probably think you're lying too. So, but just don't give up hope. Just be patient. Eventually people will come around, hopefully, before it's too late. That's it for all the news stuff. Don't forget, Kevin's coming up with Black Bear News later about 2 p.m. Central in about an hour and a half, a little less than that. He always provides good information. It's a good, nice, chill show, hanging out people, and he has some good stories on there that he talks about. He's also has a GoFundMe going. He lost his house in the LA fires this year, and he could really use your help to get him back on his feet. And he's a good guy. We appreciate you for doing that. And also tomorrow night, what the hell? This crazy ass show. I know it says Rockfin. It's not Rockfin anymore, so I need to change that. So tomorrow night, midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific time, it's a secret show, all kinds of silly stuff and goofies and whatnots and play pretties and all kinds of fun stuff to do in the middle of the night that you don't normally do. If you're not a big party person, you don't like to go out to these clubs and get fucked up and then drive home drunk and stuff. Stay home, smoke some weed, and hang out with us at the secret show tomorrow night. Should be a good time. I know it's Friday. It's Friday. Dom88 says, Lord God Almighty is coming soon. Repent, ask Christ into your heart. Be born again. The whispers, emptiness of the soul, fear of death gone, true love, joy, peace, and eternal life found. King James Version. Well, you had me till you got to King James Version. But I appreciate the sentiment. Dom, good to see you. If you could like, share, and subscribe to this show, I appreciate it. We try to do journalism, or at least try to provide you with journalism, with like giving you news, hardly any commentary, but sometimes you just, children dying, it's really hard not to comment on that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you like people. You don't love them so much, so sometimes, but you like people. But finally, today in our odd news and fun stuff and a little kickers here, we got a couple of things for you just for funsies to cleanse your palate of all the negative news. Canadian woman breaks 2 speed records on penny farthing bike. You're like, what's a penny farthing bike? Well, it's one of these from like the turn of the century. Alley-oop. Remember this? From, what is this thing? Here. And we can turn that off. Let's see. So look at that. Them big ass wheels. Yeah, people used to ride those bikes, man. I'm like, how the hell do you get up there? Look how tall this shit is. I mean, she's hauling ass on that thing. You see these pictures, you see people with the mustaches and the top hats. That's funny. Canadian woman with a talent for riding big wheel bikes broke 2 speed records at an Australian track while pedaling a penny farthing. Lizanne Wilmot climbed her Victorian-style bicycle in Burnie, Tasmania, and broke the Guinness World Record for the fastest speed on a penny farthing for females, and fastest 1 kilometer on a penny farthing for females as well. Apparently, there's a men's world record too. Wilmot rode the 1 kilometer, 0.62 mile distance in a time of 52.75 seconds. Her top speed was clocked at 25.92 miles per hour on one of them bikes. Wilmot previously held the record for the farthest distance on a penny farthing in 1 hour, but she lost the title to British woman Melissa Isdell. So, yeah, that's pretty wild. The old penny farthing there. Let's see that again. All right, that's enough of that silliness. And a cat dubbed Leonardo da Vinci is stealing neighbors' underwear. What? Kitty! This is like 8 minutes long. I'm going to play this whole thing. I'll just read it to you. A New Zealand cat named Leo earned the nickname Leonardo da Vinci after he was shown to be a literal cat burglar with a penchant for stealing underwear. Oh, you scandalous. Owner Helen North said Leo, a 14-month-old Tonkinese, has brought home about 150 pilfered items in the past 9 months. Little thief. He brings home a lot of things. He doesn't do much with them once they're inside. He just dumps them on the floor and just goes about his business. See, he's just the middleman. He's the distributor, right? You're the one supposed to be selling the shit. He's telling you that. And he wants his cut. North said Leo's favorite items to steal include underwear and socks, but he isn't too picky. A really expensive jersey with the tag still on, stuffed toys, loads of underpants and socks, gardening gloves, activewear, hats, sports bras, shorts, East Coast Bays rugby socks, and all blacks jersey, and everything. Really, she told stuff.co.New Zealand. She said Sundays are Leo's top days for crime, as that's when the neighborhood clotheslines are the most populated with easily reachable clothing items. Other than that, well, he's a kitten, so he attacks everything, bites you, and wakes you up in the middle of the night. North said she uses a local WhatsApp group and Facebook groups to help her neighbors reclaim Leo's ill-gotten gains. She said the largest thing Leo has brought home was a 5-foot-long stuffed snake. He brought that home twice, so he obviously really, really liked it. That was probably his girlfriend. It's like, Kitty! Leonardo da Vinci! All right. Come back, Kitty! Kitty! I knew you stealing underwear. You brag about it. What are you talking about? All right. That's enough bullshit for one day. Like I said, we will be back tomorrow night. Or I will. I don't know about you. Some of you will. Tomorrow night for the secret show. Should be fun. I'm trying to integrate more interactive type stuff. Yes. Hulk. You better be there tomorrow night, Hulk Tua. It'll be fun. I'm trying to integrate more little puzzles and games and shit like that in there to ease it in. I don't want to like full on just like, turn it into like some sort of crazy show, but I guess it already is. So too late for that. So come see us for that tomorrow night. This show will be back Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Mountain, and 8 a.m. Specific time right here on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me today and listening to what's going on. I appreciate you. I'm sorry I have to give you this bad news, but, at least it's bad coming out. And if it's good news, hey, well, I guess that's cool whip on the shit Sunday, right? Well, we'll take it whenever we can get it. So y'all have a great weekend. See you tomorrow, or I'll see you Tuesday, either one. And be sure to check out our peeps here. We're going to do it right there. All our folks that we promote here on the show, smaller and medium-sized channels that could use your love, and they provide all kinds of support and information and are good people to listen to. So check them out, and I will see you later. Peace!
This is City Alpha 5! Woo!